Welcome to SteeleWatching, which is a podcast for Remington Steele fans. My name is Sara, and I am freezing. It is 8 degrees. What the heck's going on?
I'm Eric, and I'm not freezing. In fact, it's in its 70 or 50s. What is it?
Okay,
I don't know.
That's not right.
It's almost 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and I am dying of heat stroke. So
this isn't right. You're in Alaska. Okay, you should be cold, and I should be hot. Like, honestly, because I don't know what 50 and it is warmer where you are than it is where I am. That is not right. That is not okay. It is June, for God's sake. Is Mother Nature drunk?
Must be.
Did we piss Elsa off from Frozen? Like, I don't know what happened, but it's got to get fixed. Because, like, anyway.
Nope. Anyway.
I'll survive. Before we get into the episode, we just had a couple of things that we wanted to kind of talk about. Number one, new subscriber. So really, really happy to say, yay, thank you.
Joined the latter part of May of this year. So
yep. So you know who you are. Hopefully.
We thank you very much.
We do. We are forever grateful every time we see that somebody has decided to donate their coffee money or whatever to us, because it's like a nice warm cup of coffee. I don't know. I was trying to think of a metaphor and it fell flat there, but it is really appreciated because it's, means that people like us and they want us to keep good.
They really like us.
All right, Sally. Also, we got an email with regards to our Now You Steal It, Now You Don't episode. And I'm not going to name names. You know who you are. But they took issue with some of our commentary, I guess, on
omissions.
Omissions, yeah, I guess. Well, not what we said, but what we didn't say, specifically with regards to the end of the episode. So I wanted to read part of the email and just kind of like touch on what this person said, because when I read through this email, I honestly hadn't even thought of it this way. So I think it's really...
Well, I didn't either. I mean, it was in the tag. Who pays attention to the tag? Nothing important happens in the tag.
Well, I saw it as a somewhat like cheesy way to avoid moving them any further in their relationship. But there were some comments on this that I didn't consider. So the email read, in your comments on the tag scene, Laura is quoted as saying, some questions are best left... Sorry.
Episode?
Now you steal it, now you don't.
Yes.
Yeah, I did say that.
This will help create a context for people. This is the one where...
I did say that at the beginning.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've got short timers. Old timers. I mean...
But I mean, I can give, in terms of the plot, this is the one where they have that kleptomaniac who isn't a kleptomaniac and a antique dealer that's not an antique dealer, and et cetera.
The one where he gets kidnapped, thrown on a ship, beaten to a pulp.
Yeah. And then he tells the person slapping him he loves her because he thinks it's Laura.
Yes.
So, yeah. And the email reads, so in your comments on the tag scene, Laura is quoted as saying, some questions are best left unanswered. But you completely missed Steele's follow-up, and some answers are best left unquestioned. Now, I understand that some fans feel, as Sara did, that Laura was giving Steele an out. Her some questions best left unanswered to his answers might frighten us both, and this may be true. However, I contend that Steele was giving Laura an out with his statement, or at least was trying to gauge how she might respond. She is afraid, maybe because she can't be sure what questions he imagined answering during his hallucinations, but by her sidestepping the conversation, I think he interprets that as her not being ready to hear the answer, and honestly, I don't think she is. Regardless, his final response, the quote you left out, tells us a lot. Some answers are best left unquestioned. His answer under hallucination was, I love you, and he knows it, accepts it, and is good with it. He doesn't look as scared by it at all, not anymore. I think it's a huge character development moment for Steele, and I love this quote in its entirety. We can debate on what it all meant for both Steele and Laura, but I think it a huge disservice to Steele's character to have missed his final line entirely. If you ask me, it was very telling as to where he felt he was in their relationship. So yeah, I honestly never even thought of interpreting it this way, which is really fascinating how people can watch one scene and see something totally different. For me, I saw it as the writers have put us, literally the writers trying to write themselves out of a corner. They had Steele make this admission, albeit not to Laura, but to himself. And now they have to find a reason for him not to tell her. And so it seemed kind of like we're clinking our glasses. We're not going to go any further with this. But I didn't consider that and probably from the writer's perspective, that probably was the purpose. However, in terms of character development and what we've seen from the characters, I can totally see if these were real people, which they aren't, but if they were, I can see this as a way of trying to figure out how the other person's feeling or what the other person's thinking and basing your answer based on that. So what do you think?
Yeah, I guess I kind of took it as being just kind of a lighthearted throwback. You say some questions are best left unanswered, and I just flippantly turn that on its head and send it back to you that way. That's how I kind of took it. But I can see the point that this writer listener is making, because it does offer the possibility that Steele is maybe even to himself not wanting to question what he said.
Yeah.
Or as to why he said it. And so, yeah, I can understand this writer's point. And I guess we probably should have given it a little more consideration than we did.
I think so.
But it was in the tag. Who pays attention to the tag?
I think maybe it was just my overall frustration at this one step forward, two steps back that kind of made me dismiss it, because this was, of course, part and parcel of this whole idea that the writers have that you can't have them get together because that will ruin the show. So let's find some reason for them not to just have an honest adult conversation about things. But if we look at where some of their fears and issues lie, obviously Laura's lie in that fear of commitment. Even though she says she wants it, she's scared of it because he's an unpredictable element. The hilarious thing about being a couple is that you can't predict the other person's actions or their behaviors. You just have to kind of hope they're going to do what they say they're going to do. And so I think Steele realizes that. And they've just gotten back together, as much as we can say they're back together after the thaw. So they're still kind of circling around each other warily. They're not really sure where the other person's going to land.
It just occurred to me that, I've said before, one of the reasons people can get away with saying things when they're drunk is because they're drunk.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in some respects, that's what this was, a drunk situation. I mean, he'd been so beaten that his mind was in a kind of a stupor, as you might be if you were overly intoxicated. And so, things come out that you wouldn't have said otherwise, not necessarily because you're not feeling them, not necessarily because they're not true, but simply because you wouldn't have allowed yourself. Yeah. And so I can see where also this is him saying, I wasn't myself, and anything I say shouldn't be used against me in a court of law.
in a court of relationship law. Yeah.
Even though it might have been true, it's just, I would never have said that under normal circumstances. So
all Laura has to do is get him drunk, and then he'll.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Well, they did have those umbrella drinks. There's probably some booze in that. So a few more of those, and he'll be singing like a canary.
Chirpy, chirpy, chirpy. Anyway.
But seriously, thank you for the email, because I genuinely hadn't considered that aspect of it. And I think it's really interesting.
Me either. So.
Yeah. And ironically, that leads us to today's episode, which is uneven, if I'm going to be kind. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
We're going to be talking about Season 3, Episode 20, Steele In The Chips. And this episode first aired on March 19th, 1985, and it was written by Robin Bernheim, who this is I think the first episode she's written for the show, and Stephanie Zimbalist, which obviously is her first writing credit as well. And I have a feeling that Robin was there to sort of help smooth out the kinks of the script writing process for Stephanie, because Robin Bernheim, as we know, even at this point, had probably a few credits to her name in terms of writing. I know she later went on to do a lot of Star Trek and stuff like that. So, and then it was directed by Sheldon Larry, whose name has popped up before. So, yeah. Before I do the synopsis, I'm just curious, because I know this is going to be a focal point of this episode, and I want to not have to beat this dead horse, because it's going to drive me crazy throughout the entire episode.
That horse has been in here so long, it's starting to stink.
I know. Do we know if this episode originally had a different production order intended for it, or was this always meant to go here?
Well, based on the production order, it would have been the 10th episode of the season.
Okay.
Because its production number is 4710.
Gotcha. Okay. I can forgive a lot if I knew that this was not meant to go here, because the bulk of the problems that this episode has, in my opinion, come from the fact that they're supposed to be in the thaw, and neither one of them are acting very thaw-like. So, yeah, and I mean, the alternate order that I have has it as episode 6. So it's definitely better if it comes earlier.
Yes.
I think a lot of fans will agree with that. And I think not knowing that definitely would impact your enjoyment of the episode, specifically because of all the character development that came in the last few episodes. So, yeah. Okay. So we'll maybe touch on that a little bit more as we get in there, but I just wanted to clarify so that we know that this was not intended to be episode 20, which is okay.
At least by all the best evidence that we have,
right?
Pending additional information from other sources. Yeah, it shouldn't have been this late in the season.
Gotcha. So we've got the TV Guide synopsis, which, and I went with that one. Okay. There was one that was really long, and then I don't know if it was the liner notes or either way. This one just
the production synopsis was pretty long.
The inventor of a no-calorie cookie disappears along with the only samples worth millions. Simple, to the point. Some other notes from Judith Moose's book. Stephanie's inspiration for this script was her love of the slapstick comedy in the film It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, which is mentioned in the episode. The original script called for a food fight in the gym, but the scene was shot down by the network for being too silly. Let that sink in, everybody. That scene was shot down for being too silly.
Well,
and replaced with marching band rehearsals.
Okay, did you watch the bonus video on the DVDs?
If I did, it was so long ago that I'm having trouble remembering it. Jog my memory.
The bonus episode was called The Baking of Steele In The Chips.
Okay.
And it included an interview with Robin Bernheim where she did say that the original script called for the food fight.
Right.
That it was shot down by the networks for being too silly, replaced with the marching band. And a week later, a food fight showed up on Moonlighting.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, that's funny. That is very funny. Given, and I don't get me wrong, I don't have an issue with silliness. In fact, in some cases, like, I love a good, really silly episode. So, but there's a lot of other elements of this episode that are ridiculously silly. So I do find it funny that apparently the food fight would have been too silly, but not the fact that the whole premise, the fighting over a cookie, like, anyway.
Should I say? I'm setting myself up for trouble if I say this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I really don't have as big a problem with this episode as a lot of people do. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people have portrayed it as being.
To be fair, I think most of it is down to the relationship element and the fact that it's in the wrong spot.
And that could all very well be too.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who thought it was a pretty weak story and a weak script. But I mean, I think it was the kind of lighthearted, goofy thing that Remington Steele did pretty well. So
I think maybe Stephanie, like, she wrote this, and I know that she has said in the past that she felt season 2 got a little further away from what the original intention of the show was. And I wonder if she wrote this, maybe not necessarily intending to write a season 1 type episode, but it definitely has that feel. Because for her, this was when the show was at its best in her mind, when it was kind of embracing, like, in no way is this episode sillier than Steele's Gold. Let's be clear.
No, it's
like,
not. Yeah.
Like, there's definitely episodes that are more
Stop
ridiculous.
That carrot. Oh, no, sorry.
No, stop that sorrow. There's definitely episodes that are more ridiculous in their content and execution. I think a lot of the criticisms come from the order that the episode is in, which is fair. Especially since...
Can I throw out another thing that I think is a factor? And I hate to say this because I hate to be critical of people's motives and intentions, but I think a little bit of it is also the fact that Stephanie was the co-writer. There's this attitude, maybe more so in Hollywood than among the fans, but I think even maybe among the fans, that you're an actor, act. You don't write the words. And I think maybe there's even if it's not conscious, I think maybe there's a little bit of that in there.
I think it's interesting because when you get actors that write for, I think sometimes it depends on the fandom, because Star Trek, for example, anytime an actor writes for Star Trek, the fans are usually pretty supportive of that. In fact, Jonathan Frakes, who plays Riker in The Next Generation, went on to a very lucrative directing career. He started directing when he was on Star Trek and then went on to feature films, and he's considered to be an excellent director. So I wonder if it kind of depends on the fandom and the fan base, because and I mean, this was her first script, so I'm personally willing to forgive a lot, because this maybe wasn't necessarily what she got into the business to do, but I think there's a lot of really good moments in this. Like, there are some issues that I have with it beyond simply the production order, but I've had these issues with other episodes in the show too. So it's not necessarily specifically Stephanie that I'm taking issue with per se, because and we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there, yes.
I don't hate this episode as much as everybody else does. I do. Yeah. It does make me cringe just simply where it's placed, but it helps a lot knowing that even the original production order intended it for it to be earlier.
Yeah.
Because that would really tick me off if it was intended to be here after all of the character development that they've done up till this point, and then we just go back to... Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Guest starring the incredibly talented Geena Davis. I know that this is one of her earlier roles, but she's really funny. Like, she's good. She can do funny. So,
also... Oh, Gene Smart.
Yes. Yeah. Like they've got some good people in this episode too. So, we open in a park at nighttime. A woman in a trench coat is pacing back and forth while...
Can I say, I love this scene.
This scene is hilarious.
Well, it's well done.
Yeah,
and it's one long shot. 50 seconds long.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Great. I'm sorry, I interrupted. I should have waited to the end, but
it's a great feel, right? Because we've got this woman in the trench coat who that's Shirley, right? If I remember, that's Shirley, and then we've got a sinister looking man checking his watch, who I think is Stockman, if I remember correctly. And then we see a third man, who's Bill, nervously biting his fingernails. And in the distance, we see a car approaching. Stops, a man gets out, briefcase handcuffed to him. He walks over to the three people waiting and begins to take the handcuffs off.
It's very spy movie-like.
It is very spy movie-like.
And the music is dark and suspenseful in this minor key.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it's meant to the setup is for the when he opens it, but yeah, we get the impression there's maybe a bomb in there or some sort of weapon or something really destructive to society, right? He opens this briefcase, takes out a small padlocked box. So not only is the briefcase handcuffed to him, he's also got a padlocked box, unlocks the padlock to reveal a cookie.
At which point the music becomes very light and humorous, almost carnival-like.
The score is great.
It's a great sequence. I mean, and especially, like I said, that first shot, because it moves from suspect to suspect continuously. And the way they're staged, and it's a natural movement of the camera and the characters, and it's done in one long shot. It's well done.
It's got a lot of
Larry,
atmosphere. It's got a lot of exactly. And the briefcase and the handcuffs and everything, right? It's just great. And then he takes this cookie out, hands it to, I think it was Bill, right? Who takes a tiny bite. This is very Three Little Pigs, right? Bill takes a small bite and declares it rich. Then he hands it to Shirley, who takes a bigger bite and declares it moist, which is a word apparently a lot of people hate. So there we are. She hands it to
Clay
Stockman.
Pratt. No.
Sorry, is that
Clay?
Clay? Is it Clay? Oh.
Yeah, Clay Pratt.
I screwed that up, didn't I? I thought it was Stockman for some reason.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm
okay.
My bad.
Okay.
I'll edit that out. I won't sound like an idiot when we do.
But those of you who are, if anyone's listening to live, you heard it here. So hands it to Stockman, who pretty much eats most of it. And then with his mouth full, calls it satisfying. And can I just say, ew, they're all eating from the same cookie. Gah.
I'll bet you're one of those people that doesn't permit double dipping on the chip tip.
No, and I won't even drink from my husband's water. I've said this before, even though I'll kiss him, but I won't drink his water bottle. I no rhyme or reason to it. It just
don't make sense of it, people. Just do it.
So the man with the briefcase takes back what is left of the cookie, and then asks them for their bids. The first man pulls out a small envelope, and Three Little Pigs, right? Small envelope, then a bigger envelope, then the giant envelope, right? Takes all three of them, puts them in a suitcase, tells them that they will have his answer in the morning. He leaves, and so do the three other people. So we get the impression, like, at this point, if you didn't know what the cookie is or why they're bidding on a cookie, this is the most insane clandestine meeting in the park ever.
Yep.
Which is why it's great. I really, really like this because, they're bidding. No cookie could taste that good, and yet apparently it does. So, yeah. Not Mr. Christie, that's for sure. Then we switch to a lab. We see something smash into a beaker, which gets glass everywhere. And we see two men standing there. One is the man with the briefcase. The other is Walter Munsinger, a scientist who is clearly angry with him, and it turns out it's his partner, Michael Spencer. He accuses him of trying to steal his life's work, and Spencer tells him that $10 million is a lot of dough. I have a question for you. Okay. Would you be this principled as Walter? And this is his life's work. He has lofty goals on what he's going to do with this cookie. Would you stick to your guns or take the money and run?
Well, I would probably look for some third alternative where I can get the money and still keep my morals and principles. What
I like about this is we still don't know what it is about the cookie that is such a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. So this conversation feels a lot like there's more at stake than there really is, in the sense that, like, you almost wonder, is this a cookie that is this a bioweapon? Is he Oppenheimer? Like, what is going on with this cookie where he's got so much of a principled stance where he's not going to, $10 million isn't going to sway him? Because I don't know about you, but unless this thing can destroy cities, I'm taking the payout. I'm not that noble, frankly. So, but Walter, he doesn't care. He's concerned about what they will do with his life's work. I have to wonder, what did Walter intend to do with it? Was he going to give the recipe freely to the world as like a gift?
Yeah, I would imagine that he was going to release the patent on it into the public domain.
Okay, so that anybody
and once it's in the public domain, anybody can do anything with it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, that would make sense because you could still, capitalism would still thrive in the sense that various companies could adapt the recipe and make their own flavors and types of cookie and whatever else, right? It wouldn't necessarily have to just be. That makes sense. So, yeah, Michael, he's not bothered by this whole life's work nonsense. He asks who cares, and Walter obviously does. Michael points out that the formula might be in his head, but he has all the prototypes. Walter.
Okay. I got to say right there, Walter, we've just learned that Walter is a terrible scientist.
Yeah,
you don't
right?
just, it's all in my head. No, you don't. You write it down somewhere so that you can document not only the changes that you make as you go along, so that if you go down a wrong path, you can go back and say, okay, this is where I took a wrong turn. Let's try it again from this point. But I mean, you not only document your changes, you document your progress, and the fact that you did the work.
Yeah,
it's your work.
Yeah,
You've got the documentation, and the final result and the formula that you come up with is yours because you can prove it with documentation. He's a terrible scientist.
I have to assume that the reason why they did it this way was because they needed to have only the cookie. But
yeah, I know.
mean, theoretically, you could also have like a piece of paper that he burns to say, there, now you can't use my formula for evil or something, right? But I guess maybe they didn't have time. So yeah. But I have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Can
Michael,
I just say you're wrong?
Maybe I might be. Michael Spencer is his partner.
Mm-hmm.
Could he just sell the prototypes without Walter's consent?
Depends on the agreement that they have.
That's fair.
You know, if he's financing it and he has the authority to do the promotion or the marketing or whatever, based on the fact that he's done the financial investment. I mean, you can make these agreements however you want to, give it any one of those two partners,
right,
whatever authority you want to within the terms of that. So, yeah, I mean,
fair enough.
We don't have the answer to that, but presumably he could have that authority, yes.
So, well, Michael continues saying, by tomorrow he'll be on a beach in Bali sipping banana daiquiris with some native guava blossom. He tells him to think of the stars, the palm trees, and the bikinis. So Michael's already there. He starts to dance. Walter, infuriated, grabs a nearby bottle of champagne and knocks him over the head with it. He falls to the ground.
A man of such high morals that he's willing to sacrifice the lives of others.
Right? Like,
for his...
well, it's a pretty important cookie, apparently.
Yeah.
He falls to the ground, and for the first time in cinematic history, he is still conscious. I'm just saying, because usually when you hit someone over the head, they just, they're out like a light,
dead.
right?
Yes.
But because the plot needs him to be awake, he doesn't get knocked out. Walter grabs, I think it's meant to show that Walter didn't kill him. He didn't kill him,
Failure
right?
in one's attempt does not negate the attempt.
Well, I mean, I don't know that he was trying to kill him. He might have just been trying to conk out his lights, right?
Okay, maybe.
If he was trying to kill him, he would have set the lab on fire. Just saying. Walter grabs a cookie tin and a key and goes to a locker where he finds the cookies. He grabs them, puts them in the tin. They were just sitting in that locker. They're probably stale. I don't know that they could really taste that good, but okay.
It's like when you go into a place like, let's say Starbucks or whatever, and they've got all these food items on display, and it's like, how long have those been sitting there?
Be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you guys change them out once a week after they get hard, or are they just molded plastic, or what are they? You know,
like are they growing penicillin as well as selling food?
Yeah.
You know. But either way, he takes them, puts them in the tin, leaves while the man writhes in pain on the floor because friends in the office. Here's okay. The only criticism I have here of Walter, good old Walter Munsinger, put a note in the tin. Do not eat. Or something, right? Like he just, who wouldn't, if you're sent, well, okay, maybe not true. Because if I'm sent a random tin of cookies without a name.
Yeah, without a return address. That was in my notes.
I might hesitate, but okay, no, I'm lying. I would not hesitate that long. It's cookies. I'm going to eat them. Right? So let's be clear here. Like, we see Mildred opening the package, and inside we see the cookie tin. She opens it and immediately begins to eat a cookie. She just dives right on in there.
Yeah.
This is okay. So this is going to be one of those moments where I have a little bit of a rant. I do like this episode, but this is one of the things that bugs me. Laura comes in, sees Mildred, and tells her it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry, don't you eat cookies at 9 a.m.? Because I don't.
Right there in my notes. It's not like she's drinking. It's a cookie.
Right? Okay, so this is my only real issue with aside from the production order thing, right? She says, where is your self-respect and willpower? Right? Then Mildred hands her a cookie. She tells her it's shameful and degenerate, takes a bite, and calls it absolute heaven. Okay? This is one cookie. One.
Must be a really good cookie.
One friggin' cookie, okay? I'm sorry, but and you'll recall I had the same issue with Steele Sweet on You. This whole concept of food having moral value, that you're somehow being bad if you happen to eat a treat or have something that is not salad, right? And this is only ever done to women, and it drives me nuts because...
Well, men get it too, not to the same degree, not in the same way, not under necessarily the same circumstances, but men can get it too.
But she sees Mildred eating one... It's not like Mildred had stuck her head in the tin and was covered in crumbs and chocolate. The woman had taken one bite of one cookie, okay, and she's being called shameful and degenerate at 9 in the morning. What? This is the stuff that bugs me, because then she grabs the cookies out of both of their hands, let Mildred enjoy her cookie, okay?
Yeah.
And puts it back saying it's terrible and they need to turn over a new leaf.
Well,
they had one.
The only thing that could possibly explain that is if outside of the episode there had been some conversation between Laura and Mildred was saying, "Oh, I'm on this diet. I'm just avoiding all sweets, except maybe a small treat at lunch or something like that." And that by having this cookie, or maybe by having this cookie this early in the morning or at this particular time of day, it was a violation of some stated goal that Laura had heard.
Yeah.
And so, Laura's trying to shame her into sticking back to her goal. But yeah, it's not like she's drinking.
No, and it's not just Mildred, because Laura exhibits her own, when she finds out it's only got 1 calorie and she's like, oh my God, right? She just seems to lose her mind over the fact that she could eat as many of these as... And they've done this multiple times with Laura, and it bothers me especially with Laura because Stephanie is, as we've talked about, tiny, tiny, tiny. She's not anybody that would ever need to worry about their weight. And not just because she's small, because I get that people can gain weight, but her character is a runner. We know she can dance. We know she's got all of these athletic pursuits that she engages in her own time. She's somebody who keeps herself mobile and Steele gets winded going up a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
Right? And somehow she's constantly going on about how she needs to lose 5 pounds, or there's always this sort of narrative with her weight.
But I guess, in some respect though, that is reflective of maybe what the attitude that a lot of women had at that time. Is that, oh, I'm 5 pounds underweight. I need to lose another 5, so I'm 10 pounds underweight.
Yeah.
So,
this is where
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that I can see where that could be a reflection of the common attitude held by women, at that time.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just women, it was Hollywood, right? So I guess this is reflective of where Hollywood is at. But even with Doris Roberts, Mildred's a little on the, as she calls it, voluptuous side. She's hardly morbidly obese.
No.
For a woman her age, she looks just fine. Yeah. And so it just sort of bugs me that I think it would have landed a bit differently for me if, like you said, there had been some sort of conversation at the beginning of the episode and maybe she found the cookie a little bit later in. Probably didn't have time for that.
Or just in this line, just threw it at Mildred. I thought you said you wanted me to... Yeah. Help you stop eating sweets.
Yeah. Or if they had like Mildred if she had maybe she'd eaten the whole tin already, or she had eaten, maybe there were 2 tins sent and she ate one of the tins, right? Like,
yeah.
if it gets excessive,
she was under the desk shoving it in her mouth, and Laura comes on, I'll give you $5 to go get me some more cookies.
Exactly, right? Like she's shaking from withdrawal. That might have made more, like, as much as I don't like Laura's chocolate stuff and the Steele Sweet on You, at least they sort of implied that when Laura starts, she can't stop, right? So with Mildred, she just took one bite of this damn cookie. Let her have her cookie, like,
I want a cookie.
That should be, oh my God, that should be a shirt. Let her eat cookies. Just have it be like the cookie.
Picture of Mildred holding the cookie.
So anyway, I'm not going to continue to bang on that, but
that horse is dead. It's stinking up the room. Yeah.
That's the only thing that kind of bugs me about the episode specifically. She grabs Mildred's hand and tells her they need to get aerobics to get going. She begins to do what I think is meant to be a workout. It looks a little awkward. Mildred tells her it's no use. She's tried everything. She says she's tried water diets, protein diets, even acupuncture. Nothing works. This, I think, is meant to be a nod at all these fad diets that were out at the time, right? And still are, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, lately it's less diets and more diet pills, because you've got the Ozempic craze that is sort of sweeping all of Hollywood, it seems. But yeah, like all these crazy fad diets that we see come up, like, oh, you just eat lemon for a week and you'll lose 10 pounds or whatever it is. Right? And the reason, of course, none of these diets ever work is because you may lose weight in the short term, but none of them are sustainable. So you're going to gain it back and probably going to add some to it, because that's just how it goes, right? So Mildred says she's tried everything. Maybe she's just meant to be voluptuous. Laura, still bent over, says, "Nonsense, Mildred," and then, looking between her legs, she sees a client. This is funny. Talk about being caught in an awkward position.
Yes.
The client comes in. She pretends to have been looking for Mildred's contact. Sure. While she introduces herself as Mr. Steele's associate. The man tells her he is Bill Miles and that he needs to see Mr. Steele. Cut to Mr. Steele on the tennis court with Gina Davis's character, Miss Dalrymple. Miss Dalrymple.
Yes.
Yeah. He looks as it, and this is, I guess, maybe another one that, because if it's got a different production code, that means it was filmed earlier, right? Or they were meant to film it earlier?
I would say it was probably filmed earlier, yes.
Because his hair, he's got a haircut here that he didn't have in the previous episode. I don't know if he has it in the following one. I'll have to check.
And I think that's also one of the things that people who've created these alternate episode orders have gone
by the hair
with is that they, well, probably not as their sole criteria. I'm sure not, but I mean, hair grows in a predictable way, and it doesn't from one week to the next go, it's really long, it's really short, it's really long again. Yeah. No.
Yeah, he does. You can tell it's like a very, very crisp and sort of shorter cut, right? So, yeah, like I said, it's probably the production order thing. But yeah, she's teaching him how to hit a ball. She tells him he has definite potential with firm wrist, good form, and excellent follow-through. He says the Remington Steele Agency is known for its follow-through.
Well, no, but it's follow-through. Isn't that the last one? Because it's dignity. Dignity is our watchword. And she says, well, and vigilance. Oh, vigilance and dignity. And follow through. Vigilance and dignity and follow through. It's just like, okay, everything is my number one priority, because whatever you say, I'm going to agree with.
The minute, she's speaking, right? He's just going to go with whatever she says.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but I'm not sure she's necessarily talking about what she's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, there's double entendre going through this whole exchange.
Definite subtext.
So they're walking arm in arm, and she tells him that security is important on the pro circuit, and that if she were to retain the agency, she would expect him to be close by at all times. Now, here's my question. We know he doesn't ultimately end up getting the job, but pro tennis players go all over the world. There's Wimbledon, there's France, like there's all these tournaments, right? is he going to take a long sabbatical to follow Miss Dalrymple around to these tournaments to be her bodyguard?
Well, it wouldn't be a sabbatical because it would be
not but like
for the agency.
Yeah.
He would be presumably, I guess.
Because this seems like a very odd contract for them to pursue at all.
Yes, unless he's pursuing it more on his own than with Laura's approval.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't see her react as if she didn't know about it, so I'm guessing she had some knowledge. Maybe not to what degree Miss Dalrymple wanted his services, but yeah, so I guess he's just planning on following her around to every tennis match forever, I guess.
Yeah, or maybe, I don't know what the tennis schedule is. Maybe they don't happen real often, so it's like, well, we have one this month, and then we have one, toward the end of next month, and then one a month and a half after that. I don't know.
Well, the major, and I it's sad that I even know anything about this, but it's because of my husband. I'm going to blame him.
Okay.
The major tennis tournaments typically happen once a year, but there's quite a few of them, right? There's the U.S. Open, the Australian Open, the French Open, like I said, Wimbledon, and then you've got presumably other games that are not major tournaments. So, yeah, I think this will keep him quite busy, depending on how long the contract would be for, but. That's fine for him because she trails her finger up his shirt and says, as she's saying this, he assures her that he would be there day and night, adding that vigilance is their watchword, as you said. She warns him that she's very conscious of her image. And he adds that Remington Steel Agency is the very soul of propriety. Dignity is their watchword. Dignity and vigilance and follow through. There's another shirt. Dignity, vigilance, follow through.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then we hear a woman yelling "Yoo-hoo!" and it's Shirley Tannenbaum from the previous night running towards him. I don't know if that's actually her name. Is that actually her name, or is it okay?
That's the character's name, yeah.
Right.
Shirley Tannenbaum.
She has that bakery that has a different name to it, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you see it all the time, restaurants or other businesses that are named after the person that founded the business, but somebody else owns it now or whatever.
Yeah. Fair enough. So she runs down towards them, introduces herself, as I said, as Shirley Tannenbaum, and tells them that the office said she could find them there. Steele is not impressed.
I like his line.
That could be bad for one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is funny. That is genuinely pretty. It's a good singer. And she says that she's at the end of her rope and she needs him to find Walter. Steele is confused, and she clarifies Walter Munsinger, her brother-in-law. She hasn't heard from him in 3 days, and nobody can find him. She says tomorrow is her daughter's wedding, and Walter and Tiffany are like that.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a line, but Steele doesn't know that. So she wonders what she will tell her and the doctor. Steele is even more confused, but Shirley clarifies that she's marrying a doctor and pulls out a Polaroid that she hands to him. It's a picture of Walter. So we've got Steele being fed this cock and bull story from Shirley, and at the same time Laura is looking at the exact same photo and asking Bill how long his brother has been missing. He's got a lot of really concerned relatives.
Yes.
He says 3 days, and his sister Mary is so upset. She's in the hospital and the doctors are really worried. Just pouring it on thick here. Steele meanwhile is telling Shirley that the agency's not really equipped to handle a full-scale manhunt. Since when?
Well,
I know it's an excuse, but they've found missing people before, so he's just thinking with his something else. He's thinking with something else. Thinking with his diligence and no
follow through. Yes,
follow through. He's thinking with his follow through. There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. She says, "Silly me, you need money to cover expenses, right?" Hands him a check and asks if that will do. He looks and sees it's for $10,000. And Laura is simultaneously looking at a check with the same amount. To which Bill says, "He's the only brother I have." Oh.
And the way he says that, I mean, it's so obviously insincere. How does Laura not pick up on that?
Right?
I mean,
yeah. Well, also the $10,000. I get that if a beloved relative was genuinely missing, a lot of people would pay whatever they could, but there's not a lot of people that are able to just here's $10,000.
Yeah.
Find my brother. That's, I don't know. Either way, we get a scene change. The elevator ding, And Steele and Miss Dalrymple walk towards the office. She's asking how he can work both cases at once, and he assures her that he's just going to assign Laura to the Munsinger matter, and he can devote his full attention to servicing her.
Yeah. Well, that's the first of a couple of risque lines that come through here.
That one is standards and practices miss that one because that's yeah. So he walks in and says good morning to Mildred as she's taking a bite of the cookie. Is this the same cookie that Laura grabbed from her, or has she are there cookies in this tin that have just like one bite out of them? Because that would really bother me.
Well, the tin was pretty full of cookies,
True.
so she's probably making her way through them.
She's maybe had a couple of them by now. Which, hey, you know what? Let Mildred have her cookie.
That's right.
She manages to mumble good morning, even though her mouth is full. And then Steele greets Laura and tells her that he has a pressing matter for her to attend to. She smiles politely but icily and tells him that she has a pressing matter of her own. He argues, well, his is more pressing, saying he's been hired to locate a missing relative. Laura sounds surprised and says, well, so have I. Steele, irritated, tells Mildred to get Miss Dalrymple some tea and marches Laura into the office. He pulls out the check, telling her that his relative comes with $10,000. She looks surprised and pulls out her own check, saying, so does mine. He says, it does? And then Laura says she has a picture. Steele tells her, you show me yours and I'll show you mine.
There it is. There it is.
Double entendre number 2 for those of you who are counting. That one's, yeah. So, and then they whip out their pictures at the same time, exchange them, and realize it's the same man. Both say his name in unison, and then Steele comments that Walter must come from a very doting family. Right? Laura adds that if any more of his relations show up, they'll have to open a branch office. Foreshadowing? Question mark? Because we know a certain idea man is going to pop up in season 4, and
yeah,
you know, he's got more ideas.
That's right.
So, yeah. It's at that moment that the third man, so Stockman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Enters. He introduces him. Yeah, Stockman from the Vector Foundation. They shake hands, and he asks if they can find someone for him. A man named Walter Munsinger. And that's, Laura and Steele. They're like, okay, something is going on here.
Mm-hmm.
In The Rabbit, Laura comments on how odd it is that 3 people hired them to find Walter Munsinger. Steele agrees, saying that the sooner they can wrap this up, the sooner he can go over Miss Dalrymple's itinerary. Okay.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Yeah, that's what we're calling it. Her itinerary. Make sure everything is in proportion, in place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Laura kind of snarkily
Everything's
says,
covered.
Yeah. Yeah, or uncovered as would be his preference. But yeah, Laura.
Well, it depends on what you're covering.
Yeah. Fair. She says it should be an exciting trip and reminds him that Miss Dalrymple is a client. Steele argues that she's more than a client. She's the ideal client. Laura asks how so. He tells her she wants to mix business with pleasure, and Laura rolls her eyes. And in my notes I have, if this is after the thaw, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. Obviously, it lends a much different interpretation if it's pre-thaw, because we had episodes like where they, Eloise and Bill, that disastrous double date situation. This could be played for a lot of laughs if it's pre-thaw, because they're both trying to piss each other off. And, and Laura especially, because she's in a situation of her own making. Yeah. And Steele is, if this is pre-thaw, and I'm going to treat this as if this is pre-thaw, because if I don't, it's just going to piss me off and I'm going to get mad and rant. So I'm going to pretend that we're in a world where this episode happened pre-thaw and kind of go with it there, because I think it lands much differently. And Steele having the right to see any woman he pleases pre-thaw is pushing her buttons, but at the same time, Gina Davis is a stunning woman. So, you really? Gina come on. I don't get you.
Gene Smart, much better.
A fan of designing women, are we?
No, just from this episode, just comparing the two, I know which one I would go for.
Fair enough. Either way, we know what Steele's type is. And yeah, and he knows that that's going to be a dig, and Laura's going to get irritated.
Mm-hmm.
So we switch, and they arrive at Walter's apartment. They find the door open, to which Steele comments on that not being a good sign. Inside, he should know. He's arrived at his own apartment to find it open enough times at this point, right?
Yeah.
Inside, they find the place has been absolutely trashed. Steele says that someone wants Walter for more than Tiffany Tannenbaum's wedding. As they look around, Steele straightens Walter's Einstein poster, and Laura finds an award for third place at the Food Expo along with Michael Spencer. Steele realizes that he was into food research, and Laura adds that Michael was his partner. So we know who the other guy was, if we didn't before.
Mm-hmm.
Steele also finds a piece of paper with their phone number and address, leading Laura to realize that he intended to contact them, which obviously means, or kind of hints at why there's so many people coming to them.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them hear a sneeze, and they both say "Gesundheit."
The other one sneezed, yes.
Yeah. Realizing that neither one of them were the sneezer, they turn around and go over to the closet where Steele opens the door and a man steps out. Laura's smile immediately widens in recognition, and she addresses the man as Clay. He smiles warmly and asks how long it's been since the good old days. And he also asks if she lost weight. Why?
I've got a question, but I'll save it for where it shows up in my notes because it fits better there.
Like, if she lost any weight, she'd disappear.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I don't know. It just bothers me. So yeah, there we go. Steele shoves him back inside the closet. I love this. He just shoves him back in, shuts the door. And the poor guy just stays there while they have this conversation. He asks her who Clay is. She says Clay Platt. They used to work together at Havenhurst. Steele points out that she seems to have mixed business with pleasure where he is concerned. She acknowledges it, saying, "We put in a few late nights, a lot of paperwork." Steele, irritated, says that he seems keen to burn the midnight oil again. And I think this admission from Laura probably sticks a little more in his craw, whatever you want to say, simply because he's probably thinking, if she's willing to mix business with pleasure with this idiot, then why not with me?
Mm-hmm.
Which to an extent you can understand, because it feels like she's willing to...
Everybody but him.
Everybody but him, yeah. Which I mean, obviously, again, the reason for that being that Clay, well, maybe a pleasant diversion for her, although I don't see why, is not Steele. Like, her feelings are in no danger of being hurt, per se. So, yeah. Clay has that nondescript, he looks kind of like Bill, who looks kind of like everybody else. You know, he knocks on the Clay. I like how he knocks, right? He's been locked, shoved back in the... Guys, can you let me out? And Steele tells him to be quiet. They're not letting him out yet.
That does not appear in the script.
I looked and I didn't have a script.
I do.
Oh.
It's dated from June.
Why don't I have a script?
June 28th. But yeah, it's that particular bit is not in the script. So it's I don't know if that knock and that response was an impromptu thing that was done in the moment, or if we've got a revision of the script after what we have here.
I would really, really, really like to get my hands on one of the writers of the show, any writer, frankly, at this point, and ask if ad-libbing was something that was a common thing, because there's some shows that encourage it and some that, like, absolutely discourage it. Like, and again, sorry, Buffy, for example, is frequently described as being a word-perfect show, in that actors were not allowed to ad-lib upon pain of death. This kind of goes back to Joss being sort of like a bully on set, and because he started out as a writer, his belief that his words were, you know, the words of God, and and I mean, they don't get to. It wasn't just that they couldn't ad lib; it was they could not. If a word was, for example, not a contraction, if it was cannot, they had to say cannot. They couldn't change it to can't. They had to say every word exactly as written. And if they got the inflection wrong or the tone, like, it would be, let's do another take. So he was very much not a fan of ad-libbing and people taking, you know, liberties with what their character would be doing. So I'm curious as to how much of that was encouraged or fostered in this environment because every showrunner seems to have a different approach to it. So,
yeah. And there are definitely times in the episodes where it almost feels like there was an ad lib.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Steele miming the chewing gum as he leaves in that one episode. That was very funny, but it's not mentioned in the script. So,
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully someday we'll get a chance to find out.
Hey.
But yeah, so Clay knocks on the closet. Steele tells him to be quiet. Meanwhile, Laura says they are both mature, consenting adults and they can't be expected to suppress their natural urges. This might just be me. But if the guy sitting across the table from me is Clay Platt, I have no problem suppressing my natural urges.
Yeah, I mean, he comes off pretty, well... I don't want to offend used car salesmen or lawyers, but
He's Bill. He's very similar to Bill. One thing you learn about Clay,
yeah,
he's an idiot. Yeah, he's not. And it's funny because like his last name, I kept wanting him to call him a Pratt because that's a British insult, right? So you just change the L to an R and you've got.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Pratt is an idiot or a moron, you know.
Well, maybe I should have named him that. Anyway.
Honestly, kind of should have. So, yeah. Apparently she's got natural urges that Clay satisfied. I find that hard to believe, but hey.
Yeah, me too.
Steele replies by reminding her that this mature, consenting adult is currently in a closet inside an apartment that looks like it's been leveled by a tornado.
Yeah. Well, point.
Yeah, point to Steele here. He says, don't you think we should ask him some pertinent questions? And Laura agrees. They open the door. She asks what he's doing in the closet. I think that's pretty easy. Steele shoved him in there. No,
Yeah.
Obviously before that. He says he's on a case. Steele says, so are we. Clay says, well, neither of us can betray the client's confidence. Steele grabs him by the tie and says, the man in this apartment is missing. Clay looks hopeful and asks, do you know where he is? Steele admits he doesn't. Clay says, well, neither do I. Tells Laura they'll do lunch sometime and pats her on the butt.
Okay, this is, that as the culmination of their interaction here raises so many questions.
Yeah.
When did she and Clay have this thing? Was it before Wilson, after Wilson, or at the same time as Wilson?
Well, yeah. And how did Murphy feel about it, considering he was constantly waiting in the wings, hoping he'd be...
Well, that too, yeah.
Right? Like, it makes it sound like this was a dalliance at Havenhurst. And she... How many years did she spend at Havenhurst? Was it 3?
I thought it was a little more than that, but
yeah. Well, she was only
3.
with Wilson for a year, so I'm going to go ahead and guess that he was either pre-Wilson or post-Wilson. But either way, like it... I don't see Laura as the type to be happy with anybody patting her on the butt as they walk away. Like, can you imagine what she would do? Steele has, actually.
Well...
which episode was it? The My Fair Steele. He smacked her on the butt and she looked like she was ready to rip his head off and shove it up through his butt.
But we're talking about Laura as she is now. And we know that back in the day, she was not the same personality that she is now. Because, I mean, remember Acapulco.
Yeah, I think...
And no, I mean, we have... a lot of hints that in the past she was, shall we say, a party girl?
Yeah, I mean, she was wilder and freer, but I don't think she would still be okay with somebody just smacking her on the butt. I don't know. It just feels very, like, there's a difference between deciding I'm going to do a fan dance on a bar because I have that agency and want to show off or whatever. Like, I want to have fun. And some rando that you spent maybe a little bit of time with thinking that it's okay to... And she hasn't seen him in, how many years? I think maybe that's the issue.
But, you know, if that was part of their relationship, then, you know, you just pick up where you left off and there you go.
I can't see Wilson patting her on the butt either, but anyway, so I guess...
Well, that was part of the problem, was that Wilson was Yeah, they were different personality types, definitely.
I think the only reason why she doesn't rip Clay's head off here is because she's trying to annoy Steele.
Well, that could be true as well.
She tells him nice backhand as he walks out the door.
Yeah.
So again, we've got another tennis metaphor there, but we've got a scene change. Mildred is in the office. She's doing exercises, bending up and down, chanting toes, knees, until she eventually says, cookies, please. And she looks longingly at the tin of cookies. She goes over to it and stares at it, whimpering, I'm not hungry. I hate cookies. I love celery.
Especially with peanut butter and M&Ms.
Yeah, right. I don't know if you ever saw that episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets placed on a diet, and he's told that he can eat those horrible rice cakes, right? They're only like 30 calories. So Homer, he's wanting food, and Marge tells him to get out a rice cake. So he gets out a rice cake, and then he piles it with like ice cream and like chocolate, and like it's up to here piled with stuff. And then he takes a bite, and he's like, only 30 calories. It's like,
well, it's
not how it works.
It's like people that, I'm on a diet, so I'm going to get a salad. Well, okay, that would be fine, except for all the stuff you put on top of it.
You've got cheese. Well, and what's in the salad too, because if you got like cheese and ham and like other things in the salad that up the calorie and the dressing, like
you go to a buffet restaurant, and they've got all these fixings to go on top of the salad, and you wind up with something that's, like you say, stacked high, and there's lettuce down there at the bottom, but the rest of the stuff.
Well, I think this is why, like, I like to say that food doesn't have a moral value, because there's nothing wrong with having whatever you want if it's all of it is in moderation. Because if you're going to eat nothing but carrots, that's not healthy either. No. You're going to end up being deprived of something nutritionally. So, like, if Mildred were to have a nice, healthy, balanced dinner and lunch and whatever else, eat some cookies, enjoy the cookies. But, like, she's obviously trying to deprive herself, which only leads her to want the cookies more, because that's exactly what happens when you tell yourself, no, I'm not going to have this. I'm only going to eat celery. I'm sorry, but celery is not as good as a cookie. It just isn't. You cannot make it as good as a cookie. You can't.
There is no science or logic or argument that is going to convince anybody that,
cookies are better. They're just better. So,
especially when they're the soft, chewy kind. Hard and crunchy.
I'm a little bit, I like mine in the middle. I don't like it too soft. It's got to be a bit, but it can't be too hard or crunchy either. It's got to have like a bit of a, So Miss Dalrymple comes out of the office and asks Mildred if there's any word from Mr. Steele. She's rearranged her schedule. Mildred says she's happy to see her and has something for her. She hands her the tin of cookies. Miss Dalrymple protests, but Mildred insists and she puts it inside her bag. It is kind of funny that she thought Miss Dalrymple would want them, because she's an elite athlete. She is going to be watching every calorie, because, I mean, in order for, like, especially if you've got a big tournament coming up and whatnot, so giving her an entire tin of them is probably not the greatest idea, but she puts it in her bag. It's probably what saves, well, I guess it's probably what could have kept the office from being trashed multiple times. We see a scene change. We get Steele and Laura getting off the elevator. They're walking towards the office. Laura looks smug and Steele looks irritated. They go inside and they see that the office is trashed. Laura says, must be something in the air. Steele springs to life, crying, Miss Dalrymple, as Mildred and Miss Dalrymple enter from outside the office. Mildred looks shocked. Steele rushes over to her saying, oh, you're safe. Mildred exclaims.
I love how, as he's running over, his foot gets caught in a box and he has to kick it off as he's trying to run up to her.
Yeah, that was another one that I wondered, is that scripted, or did he just get...
There's no annotation in the script to do that.
It's funny. It is physically quite funny, and it definitely adds to that whole him fawning all over her, whatever it was. But and then poor Mildred standing there like, no one's asking me if I'm okay. But she's shocked because she says she only left for an hour for lunch. And Laura's, I love how it's only an hour. We know how Mildred's lunches can go. So this time she was being...
Well, she was cutting it short.
Yeah, she was cutting it conservative with her lunch breaks. Yeah. Laura is surprised, as it was first Walter's apartment. Now they're on the hit list. Just then, Walter enters, asking if he is Remington Steele. When Steele says yes, He tells him he is Walter Munsinger before crashing to the floor, his back stained red with blood. They lean down to hear him tell them not to give up and that the shape of the world is in their hands. Okay, I counted how many words he said before he died. 12. He had 12 last words. He couldn't have just said, they are after the cookies. There's 5. There are no calories. That's 9 words, and you still have a few to spare, okay? The shape of the world is in your hands? Come on, my friend. Like, what is wrong with you? That's how you use your last 12 words?
Well, it's right up there with Toodaloo.
They're after the cookies. There's 4. I contraction. I fixed it.
Complain.
Yeah, I'm just saying he's a bad scientist, and also he doesn't know how to use his 12 last words.
I can't get to the point.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a scene change. We see them cleaning up the office, and there's an outline of the body on the floor. Miss Dalrymple exits Steele's office. She looks a bit woozy and asks if he's still there.
I wonder why.
Yeah, right? Mildred says no, that the meat wagon took him away.
I love Mildred.
I know. And it's funny because, like, at the beginning of her working there, she too might have been woozy at seeing a dead body, and now she's so used to it, she's just like, the meat wagon took him away. It's fine. And Steele asks her for a bit of decorum. And she says she's sorry about his rug. He says they were thinking of getting a new one anyway and suggests that Mildred get Miss Dalrymple some hot tea. This poor woman, she just keeps getting tea. She asks how he died, and Steele says heart attack. I'm sorry. Who's going to believe that?
Well, somebody attacked his heart, but yeah.
Sure, via a knife.
Yeah.
Or actually, it was a gunshot. Sorry, it was yeah. So 1 minute you're here, and the next, Laura interrupts and says it was a bullet wound from the coroner's preliminary report. He was shot at close range. So yeah, definitely not a heart attack. A bullet attack. Laura suggests it's time they talk to their clients. Miss Dalrymple protests, saying that there are reporters out there and she doesn't want that kind of publicity. Steele assures her that they will deal with it, and in about an hour they can talk about her tour in a quiet, dignified manner. He's nearly salivating. At this point. Like he needs a napkin to like wipe his chin. Laura grabs him and they leave. And again, this is funny pre-thaw. This is very funny pre-thaw. I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're sort of looking at this pre-thaw because I don't want to get an angry email going, there's been all this progress and he admitted he loves her and he knows how he feels and he's behaving like this.
Yeah, I think people.
It's meant to be pre-thaw. Right. Well, but the thing is, I didn't know when I first saw this episode, and I think that's why a lot of people hate this episode so much. Because when I first saw it,
it's out of context.
Yeah, it's out of context. It's out of character. When I first saw it, I had no idea this was meant to be aired earlier in the season, and it was infuriating to watch that it felt like whiplash. The last couple of episodes we see, in Now You Steal It, he's admitting that he loves her. We see just this great character development from them, and then all of a sudden he's behaving like he was at the beginning of the season. Yeah, that would be infuriating, but knowing where it was supposed to go, it's hilarious. So yeah, so that's I think where a lot of people's hatred might come from. And if I'm wrong, please let us know, but it definitely was where my hatred for the episode came from. Just not knowing that it was not supposed to be out of character, right? It's frustrating that it's here because it feels that way, but it's also fun to watch.
Somebody come. Can we get this horse out of the room, please?
I'm sorry. Okay. Inside a supermarket, we see Bill, and he's standing there wearing an astronaut costume, talking about the first time he walked on the moon.
A cheesy astronaut costume.
Yeah, it's super cheesy, but have other... maybe this shows my ignorance with the space program in the U.S., but have other people walked on the moon since the 60s? I didn't think
it was all, 60s, early 70s.
Right. It was like, how many times, though? I thought it was just Neil Armstrong and Buzz
11,
Aldrin.
12, 14, really? 15, I think up through Apollo 17. Apollo 13, Apollo 11 was the first. I think it went through Apollo 18. Apollo 13 had a little problem.
Yeah, Houston. They had a problem.
Yeah. it go boom.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's 10, 12 people.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Again, I don't know much about the U.S. space program, so. But it's interesting that this episode airing in 1985 is pre-Challenger explosion.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we see. Yeah, he's standing there in the worst astronaut costume ever, and he's selling samples. It tells the shoppers passing by that being an astronaut meant you had to have something special. We see the display. He's standing beside is some sort of space-themed snack. He tells them booster bars have something special too.
I think this was an indirect reference to space food sticks, which you probably don't
have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. They were a snack that was created by Pillsbury in the late 1960s by the company's chief food technologist, Howard Bauman. He was later instrumental in establishing the hazard analysis and critical control points regulations used for food safety. But at the time, in the 60s, he and his team were instrumental in creating the first solid food consumed by NASA astronauts. Food cube eaten by Scott Carpenter on board Aurora 7 in 1962. And then they were followed by other space-friendly foods created by Pillsbury's food engineers, such as a non-crumbly cake, relish that could be served in slices, and meat that needed no refrigeration. And
relish in slices?
Yeah. And then as the Apollo
relish to begin with, but in slices?
Then as the Apollo program drew closer to its first historic moon landing, NASA had a request: could Pillsbury make a food that the astronauts could eat with their helmet on? Snack had to be small enough to go through a small airtight opening in the helmet, so a rod-shaped food stick was born. And that's what these space food sticks were. They were about probably 6 inches long and probably 3/8 of an inch in diameter. And they were just like peanut butter or chocolate or whatever. And they really weren't all that good, but they were fun.
Yeah.
So documents in the General Mills archive show that the sticks accompanied Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the moon when they landed on July 20th, 1969. But they were considered a contingency food, only to be eaten in an emergency. So there's no documentation to indicate that either one of them actually ate those before or after walking on the moon.
I gotta say, they don't look very good. And hey, you know what? If you get stranded on the moon or on Mars or wherever you happen to go, you can always plant some potatoes.
Well, maybe on Mars. It's not going to work on the moon, I don't think. But
if it's good enough for Matt Damon, it's good enough for. If you've ever seen the movie The Martian,
and a couple of million Irish.
Yeah, well, I'm referring to, there was a book called The Martian, and then they adapted it into a film with Matt Damon, and the premise is that he gets stranded on Mars. His team leaves him behind, and he all he has are like something to plant potatoes with, and he manages to survive on. Anyway,
well, I have heard that potatoes are fairly good nutritionally, fairly well balanced. They've got a lot of minerals and nutrients in them that a lot of other vegetables don't have. So,
and they taste really good when they're deep fried and made into French fries. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's selling these booster bars. He looks up and sees that Laura is standing there, realizes he's caught. She tells him that she knew he looked familiar, and he takes off his helmet, saying now she knows that the man who flew to the moon has a PhD in astrophysics, hawks booster bars. He says he sells 20,000 units a week. Laura says that's impressive. And he says the company wants 50, and they're thinking of hiring Michael Jackson. And you know what? The sad thing is, it's not really crazy when you think of all the celebrities that they've gotten for like Pepsi commercials and stuff. Especially at that time. I think Michael Jackson was one of the celebrities that was doing Pepsi ads, along with Madonna and some other.
Actually, Michael Jackson and the Jacksons did Dr. Pepper, because we had that back in.
Right. Yes, we did. Okay. Sorry. It was Madonna was doing Pepsi, but either way, like it was not
celebrities
heard of thing to endorse food and whatnot. So yeah, she tells him it's a different world down here. He tells her a man has dreams. You walk on the moon, you're a hero. Talk shows, ticker tape parades, but 6 months later, nobody knows you. I think that it's interesting because that's a very different kind of celebrity. right? You would enjoy a level of notoriety for a brief period, but then, nobody would look twice, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of Chris Hadfield, for example. He managed to like keep his. Have you heard of Chris Hadfield?
Not sure if I have or not.
Okay, so he was an astronaut as well, or is. He's retired now, but he's a Canadian retired astronaut, and he's done a lot of stuff since he came back from space. But he was born in 1959, retired astronaut. He was also an engineer, fighter pilot, musician, and writer. First Canadian to perform extravehicular activity in outer space. He has flown 2 space shuttle missions and also served as commander for the International Space Station. Prior to his career as an astronaut, he served in the Canadian Armed Forces for 25 years as an air command fighter pilot. And yes, we do have an army. For those of you who are wondering, Canada does have armed forces. Usually people think it's like a canoe, and a couple of sticks, but we do actually have jets and things.
Yeah.
So just thought I'd put that out there. So then he has cited part of his career inspiration to have come as a child when he watched the moon landing on television. And like, he's from Ontario. He's from just like an hour down the road. He also put out a book. Like, after he came back from space, he put out a book about going to space. He played a song while in space. He recorded himself playing Space Oddity, which not sure that's the one I would have picked, but
no.
Considering how it ends.
Yeah.
But so there's a cover of that out there, and like, he's just had a huge social media presence. He's had exchanges with William Shatner. Star Trek actors have also like reached out to him. And he's been described by Forbes as perhaps the most social media savvy astronaut ever to leave Earth. So that's kind of where he succeeded, where this poor Bill dude failed. Because like, he collaborated with the Bare Naked Ladies, which are a band, in case people don't know that. CBC radio program. Like I said, he performed Space Oddity. Like, he's just done a bunch of stuff. And even since he's retired, he's kept himself like in the spotlight. So, but if you're not doing that, then you're gonna kind of fade away, which is what happened.
Well, that's kind of been, unless you've been a sports figure or a media celebrity, that's been kind of the norm. I mean, Chuck Yeager was famous for having broken the sound barrier. He was the first pilot to fly a craft through the sound barrier. And his name was known for a while. And then after a while, it was like, who?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was still known and revered among aviation enthusiasts because of his skill, his record as a pilot, both in the military and as a test pilot for NASA. But outside of that, a lot of people they heard about him. They became fans of him very, very quickly, and then just as quickly he disappeared from the national consciousness.
So poor Bill is now hawking booster bars.
Yes.
And Laura asks him how Mary is doing. And I don't know if this was intentional, because I think he said Mary when he spoke to Laura initially. Or at least that's what I heard.
No, well.
Or maybe that's a typo. Maybe I screwed up. But I thought he said Mary, and then Laura says Mary.
No,
so that could either be my mistake or
your ears were out of tune.
Yeah, maybe. Either way, he doesn't know who that is. And Laura reminds him it's his sister, the one in the hospital. She's hanging on. Have you found Walter yet? She's cagey, telling him he made a brief appearance in their office. Not a lie, per se. He says if they see him again, tell him that they are putting together a syndicate of backers and he might be able to get to $3 million. Laura is surprised by the amount, and he tells her it's as high as he's authorized to go, but needs an answer. She says she'll do her best to wring it out of him.
Yeah, right.
Right. So then we switch over, and Steele finds himself inside a bakery called Lila's Delight. Shirley comes out from behind the counter, and Steele is surprised, saying that she didn't tell him that she was Lila Delight, queen of sensual confection. She comments on him being thorough and asks if he found Walter. Steele says he found them. She asks if he's ready to do business. Steele is confused, and she tells him not to toy with her. She's a desperate woman. Kind of like that guy from,
Yeah.
I'm a desperate man. Yeah. She adds that she can go as high as $1.5 million. Steele is even more confused, and she says her business is being eaten alive by cottage cheese and club soda. Okay, she says people have forgotten how to live. They're devastated by stretch marks and cellulite. The hips and thighs are all they care about. I find it very hard to believe that even with the diet culture in LA and stuff like that, that you would be struggling to sell cake over cottage cheese. I'm just saying.
Well,
like,
I'm thinking maybe what she's saying is that her business has dropped off. Not that she's necessarily in immediate danger of going out of business, but just that she's selling a lot less than she would like to sell.
Fair enough. Which, I mean, could also be a product of the fact that, like, when you have a luxury item of any kind, it's going to cost more, right? People are less likely to go and buy a fancy luxury cookie from a fancy schmancy cookie shop, bakery, than they are to buy a box of Oreos from the supermarket. The Oreos are going to be cheaper, right? So there's that.
In every sense of the word.
Yeah, well, I like the ones that are covered in chocolate. Anyway, so
I'm not a big Oreo person. Never have been.
What is your cookie of choice?
A soft, chewy chocolate chip with nuts. With nuts.
Ooh,
nuts.
No, you lost me on this. You lost me with the nuts. No.
Fine.
You can
we
have
can't be friends anymore.
Fine. She tells him that Munsinger should jump at $1.5 million. Steele says he's not sure he would jump at anything.
Yeah, really.
I like that. She tells him that he drives a hard bargain and reluctantly offers an even $2 million. He tells her that he will confer with Mr. Munsinger, but he isn't sure what he will have to say in the matter. He eats a cookie and then he leaves. So then they're in the Rabbit. Steele muses that he wishes he knew what they were getting back to them about. Laura says whatever it is, Lila Delight and Willie the astronaut would cash in their life savings to get it. Steele points out it will be a bit difficult to get information out of Walter at this point, but perhaps his partner might be of some help. He suggests a little sting on the wing, and she says,
I don't get that phrase.
I don't know either. I Googled it. I couldn't find. If anybody knows, please email us, SteeleWatching@yahoo.com, because I honestly tried to figure out that one too and couldn't find anything on it. So,
yeah. So if somebody knows, yes.
She responds with, "I'll do the driving, thank you." So I don't.
Yeah, see, that's it's a conversation. It's a line that doesn't make sense. It's a line that doesn't make sense in the context of what Stephanie or Laura says next. It's just obviously we're missing something.
Yeah, and I mean that could just be because we're missing something. But anyway, we get a scene change. They're at the lab. I'm amused by the fact that the building just says chemistry.
Well, I mean, it's not wrong.
Well, but here's the thing. Like when I was at university, if it's a research-based university, which there's lots out there that are, they will have labs and stuff like that on campus, but they're usually, you get somebody donate a chunk of money to the university and they'll name it after them, right? So it's the so-and-so building for whatever. So I just find it really funny that this lab is just called chemistry.
Well, not only that, but usually it's not that focused. It's like math and sciences or
exactly.
some combination of things, because they're not generally going to dedicate one entire huge building to chemistry.
The lab that gets things done.
Yes, there we go.
So it too has been ransacked. Steele comments that someone is determined to make them work for their money. Laura points out that his home, work, and their office have all been ransacked, and frustrated, she says it would be helpful if they knew what they were after. Steele, fiddling with something, locates a bug underneath the table. He loudly announces that spring is in the air. When Laura looks at him in confusion, he shows her the bug. She understands and agrees that they should take the day off. They both start searching for bugs and gathering them up, Steele pointing as they pretend to have a conversation about going for a walk in the park, a round of golf. Laura even suggests taking in a movie. Steele asks what she would like to see as he goes into the bathroom. Laura says she'll leave it up to him as he flushes the bugs down the toilet, and he says he would like to see Bambi. Okay. I'm assuming that's because of the walk in the park joke. I know
I didn't catch it before, but until you said that, let's see here. Because
that's, I guess,
in
our
the
first movie
transcript,
reference.
well, in the transcript, it says Gandhi. But let's see.
Was that just my hearing again?
I don't know.
I
Maybe
heard
taking
Bambi.
a movie. Old flames, don't be ridiculous. Not in the original script that we have.
Huh.
So
I gotta get my hearing checked.
I'll have to go back and I'll have to go back and listen.
Because I heard Bambi, but yeah. Either way, either one of them seems like an odd, random, out of nowhere choice. But Laura comments. Sorry.
And Bambi probably would not have been in the theaters at this time because that.
No, but there are always like those little boutique theaters that play movies from long ago. As like we've got
true.
one in London that's always playing like older films. Was Gandhi in theaters at this point?
1982.
So yeah, that
even
would be out
that
of theaters
probably
too.
wouldn't have been in the theaters. So I don't know.
Laura
we'll have
comments.
To go back and listen.
It would have made more sense because he flushed them down the toilet. It would have made more sense to make a joke about like a movie set at sea, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or something like that, since they went down the toilet. Laura comments that he certainly gave them an earful and realizes that someone or a lot of someone's had been listening to Walter and knew that he was going to contact them. She's still not sure why, though, and Steele suggests checking the closets and remarks that maybe one of her old flames is in there. That's funny. Laura tells him not to be ridiculous and opens the door to a freezer, and Walter's partner falls out, dead.
Of course.
Laura asks who he is. Steele says he doesn't know, doesn't look familiar. Looks inside his wallet and announces it's Michael J. Spencer, Walter's partner. Just then we hear a scream, and we see a woman who has come into and this is the actress you referenced, Jean Smart, who is probably best known for her role as Charlene in the sitcom Designing Women, or at least that's how I know her. But she has also appeared in a bunch of other things too, obviously. Not that I was a huge Designing Women fan, but it was one of those shows that, like Night Court, if it was on, I watched it. It was entertaining enough. That's how I know of Delta Burke when I see her too. I'm like, oh yeah, there's one of the sugar bakers. So yeah, she comes in and she sees Steele holding Michael's dead body. She asks what's happening, and Steele immediately tells her that they are the Food and Drug Administration. Sure, okay. Laura asks if she works there, and the woman tells her that her name is Gloria Blyer, saying that she doesn't work there. She was looking for Walter. She says she is his fiancée. Steele and Laura exchange a look, and he delicately says they have some bad news for her. Yeah. Back at the office, it's been ransacked again. Laura notes that the ransacker is thorough to the point of obsession. Poor Mildred enters again and exclaims she was only gone for 20 minutes to the post office. Steele once again goes running for Miss Dalrymple into his office. He can hear her and finds her hiding behind his desk, and she's got a nasty bruise on her lip. He asks her what happened, and terrified, she tells him that she heard a noise and thought it was him, and when she came out, they hit her in the face. Mildred suggests that she must have scared them off. Doubtful. But Steele begins frantically fanning her and asks Mildred to get her some ice. She's upset and asks why they would ransack their office a second time. Laura says unless it's someone different. She asks what they want. She doesn't know, but whatever it is, they're supposed to have it. Steele points out there was nothing on Walter when he died, and Laura suggests that he might have sent them something. Mildred comes back in with the ice and a package that has been sent to them, and Laura grabs it, certain this is the answer. Not so much. Steele grabs Miss Dalrymple's face, assuring her it's only a temporary swelling. Laura, meanwhile, has opened the box, and after pulling out a bunch of newspapers, she nervously asks if they hear a ticking. She pulls out a black box and tells them it sounds like a bomb. I don't know if you got Batman vibes from this scene, where they're running around trying to get rid of it and can't find a place to put it. Some days you just
Batman
can't
66. I can see that.
Some days you just can't. Well, because there's that one scene where he's trying to get rid of a bomb, and everywhere he turns, like there's nuns or there's little children. And he even says, like,
true.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. So this is what's happening here, because she throws it to Steele, like she freaks out and she tosses him the bomb. Like,
Well,
Okay.
I mean, that protects her, right? I mean,
Sure.
if he's holding it, she can't get hurt.
And then he tells her to go to the windows. She does, but conveniently they don't open in this episode.
Too bad they got locked after that first season.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they did have a suicide attempt, so maybe that's why they no longer open.
Yeah.
She throws it back to Steele. Then Miss Dalrymple tells him not to just stand there, do something. They're going to be blown to smithereens. Miss Dalrymple is the only person who's actually thinking. They frantically run out of the office with it and press the button for the elevator. Okay, here's the thing.
Okay.
I get that, they put it in the elevator, they close the door, the bomb goes off.
Mm-hmm.
They had no idea of knowing how much time was left for the bomb.
That's true. That's true.
Right? So, in my
down
mind, well, I'm thinking to myself, in my mind, I wouldn't be getting on the elevator. Well, I realize they don't, but like I would be tossing it down the stairwell and hoping like hell nobody's in it.
Well, even that's not a good solution,
True.
Because at least with the elevator, well, I was going to say, at least with the elevator, if it goes off between floors, it's less likely to get somebody. But yeah, if it goes down to another floor and somebody gets in, no, neither one is a good solution.
No, there's
Okay, let's get those windows unlocked,
right,
so that we can throw it out.
Yeah, they run out of the office. They press a button, and when the doors open, Laura screams at the two men on there to get out. One of the men says, "It's not my floor." They grab him,
Really.
put the bomb in the elevator, and they duck as it goes off. This is the first time Steele says this, but it certainly won't be the last where bomb is concerned. He tells Laura, "We might have just lost our lease."
Yeah. Might have.
Right? Yeah, that could be. I don't know. Do they have a bomb clause in their contract? Like, if they don't, they
no,
should.
but I'm sure there's something in there that would cover it.
Yeah. So back inside the office, Steele is trying to clean up the papers on the floor. Miss Dalrymple comes out of the bathroom and tells him that she's having second thoughts about hiring their agency. Yeah. He pleads with her not to change her mind, but she points. Sorry.
Oh, I guess you're probably getting to it. I was just going to say her line about, do you realize that since I've met you, I've had a man die at my feet, I've been punched in the mouth, nearly been blown sky high, all on the same day. For some reason, this reminds me of Lloyd Nolan's comments in Cast and Steel about everything that had happened to him and the other stars since they met Steele.
Yeah. And,
it's not really the same, but it reminds me of that.
It actually made me think of Mr. Arnott from the first episode.
Yeah, that too,
He ends up constantly ends up being tossed a dead body. And the poor guy's like, true. What is going on here? Right? So
that's true, yeah.
Yeah, Steele assures her that he knows how hard these minor inconveniences can be.
Really?
Yeah.
Blown up.
Right.
Minor inconvenience.
Punched in the face, yeah. But from now on, it'll be smooth sailing. Yeah. Meanwhile, Laura has changed into the same red dress that she wears on her date with Bill.
And I still say it doesn't do anything for her. But anyway.
It does nothing. It looks like a box. Like it has no... I'm not saying you've got to be wearing like something tight, but like she's literally wearing what looks... It could be a nightshirt. Like it doesn't have any...
Yeah, it's not stylish. It doesn't have any shape or it doesn't
does nothing
present
to flatter
her shape well. Yeah, it's just...
And she looks good in red, so it's a shame that the dress itself is such a letdown. Like it's just... Yeah. And both times Mildred comments on it, says she looks great. Okay. But yeah. And what's interesting though is the fact that we even see clothing repeat itself, because a lot of shows that just never happened. There would be a different episode or a different outfit every episode. And a lot of the time, even like things like jackets and coats would be different every time. But here we've seen a few outfits repeat themselves. So she's
including one that you would like to have burned.
Well, it's funny because she uses this to go on her date with Bill, who is also a dud. So maybe this dress is really bad luck. Like,
that's her dud dress.
Yeah, this is the dud dress. Yeah, she's got her crime clothes and her dud dress. So she shows off the dress to Mildred, who tells her she looks smashing and that she booked her a table at La Boheme. Steele is curious and she tells him she's having lunch with Clay Platt. He asks if she's sure she can handle it alone, and with a wolfish grin, she assures him it'll be just fine. Steele dryly says he only gives his employees an hour off for lunch.
Mildred?
No. Yeah. She puts her sunglasses on and walks away as the phone rings. Mildred hands him the phone, telling him it's Gloria, who says, "It's a matter of life and death." Miss Dalrymple wonders if things ever slow down around there. No, the answer is no. Yeah. Steele answers the phone, and after a short conversation, he promises to be right over. He hangs up and laments that he wishes he weren't so damn dedicated.
Yeah. Must be tough.
Right. He tells Miss Dalrymple it's just a minor thing he has to attend to, but she's not sure she can survive it.
Yeah.
He reminds her of the watchwords, diligence and dignity. I thought it was vigilance.
And follow through.
He suggestively tells her the Remington Steele Agency prides itself on follow through.
Yes.
Yeah. She reluctantly says if he is very persuasive and he promises to be back in 45 minutes, even half an hour.
Well,
Sure.
notice the first time it was an hour, maybe 45 minutes. Now it's 45 minutes, maybe a half hour. If he keeps going, he's going to be arriving back before he leaves.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm sorry, but I know from stories of LA traffic, there's not a lot of places you can get in that amount of time. So
you might be able to get down to the corner of the block you're on.
Yeah. At the restaurant, the waiter points out Clay, and Laura makes her way over to him. As they greet each other, we see two men enter. They're clearly watching her. Clay says that he had no idea when he asked her to lunch he would get this lucky this fast. She tells him sometimes you just have to seize the moment. She sits down with him, and the two men seat themselves at the table next to them. Clay tells her he can't believe a package like her hasn't been wrapped up and tied into a great red bow. Does that line ever work, Clay? Tell me. Does that get the women? I have to know.
Somebody needs to tell us. Have you ever used that line, and has it ever worked?
Yeah, right. Like, a package like you hasn't been wrapped up and tied into. Oh no, Clay, just no.
Well, also during this scene, he's, I guess, nibbling on Laura's fingers.
Yeah.
I mean, does that really do anything for anybody? I mean,
no, it's weird. I imagine it would be weird. I've never had anybody attempt it, but I can just imagine, no, why would it? It's your fingers, I don't know. Anyway,
I mean,
it's got a finger fetish. Let us know. Actually, don't let us know. I don't want to know. Yeah. So
I could say something, but I won't.
He then says, unless you and your boss have something going. She tells him it's strictly business. Excuse me a minute. Sorry, I had a yawn there. Maybe it's Clay.
You started.
Yeah, sorry, I know, but you know what? It's Clay. Clay is so boring that I yawn just talking about him. I can't. It's habit. Yeah. He takes her hand and she asks him what he was doing at Walter's apartment. I do like the fact that she booked this lunch date pretty much just to get information from him. I mean, she obviously used it to get at Steele a little bit because of the whole Miss Dalrymple situation, but clearly she doesn't have any interest in reigniting her acquaintance with Clay. This is strictly business in the sense.
As far as she's concerned, yeah.
Yeah.
As far as Clay's concerned, she's the business.
Yeah, she's the package wrapped in a red bow.
Yeah.
Ooh. He tells her that he could ask her the same thing. She says that she has a proposition for him, and he thinks that she means something else. He says, this is the best lunch I've ever had. Laura, on the other hand, is on the case. She's focused. She tells him that he has information they want. She has information he wants. She proposes a trade. Truth for truth. He asks if the questions could be on any subject. She assures him that she is an open book. She starts by asking him who hired him to go through Walter's apartment. He tells her Veracor, and she's surprised because they're a conglomerate. He says it's
that
his
they
turn.
haven't heard from yet, as far as she knows.
Exactly. Well, yes. Yeah. He says it's his turn and asks who she is working for. She tells him that they have 3 clients. And he smiles and says, Steele must be as good as I hear. She gives a tight smile in return. Back at the apartment, Steele arrives and calls out for Gloria. Inside, she's sitting amongst the ransacked possessions with a knife, looking terrified. Did she ransack her own place? I'm assuming that's what she did, or
no, I don't
was she
think
genuinely
so.
threatened?
I think she was genuinely threatened. She would have no real benefit in doing that. And we know that, well, actually, I think later on we get kind of an admission from the Veracor guy that he's behind all of this.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure. So yeah,
there's a couple of things that are a little bit
hazy,
and we've got one coming up really, really quick here.
Yeah, he comes in and asks what happened. He asks if she's okay, mentioning that she had told him that someone had threatened to kill her. She says it was some pudgy guy. He asks what about a cocky fellow about 30. She nods and says he was with Pudgy.
And that's, apparently the pudgy guy is Stockman and the cocky guy is Clay Platt.
Oh,
but
okay.
that took me a while to figure out. It was like,
yeah, I was wondering that too.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really makes sense and fits. But it wasn't real clear the way it was presented that that's who it was in reference to. So.
Well, and also she's yeah, it was a weird,
and especially considering that up to this point, there's no real connection between Clay and the Vericorp guy as far as Steele knows.
Yeah.
They've never been seen together. Clay's only just now revealed that he's working for Vericorp, and they don't know that the Vericorp guy is the Vericorp guy. They think he's working for the Vector Foundation.
True. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where something must have been left out at some point.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really hinder the story too much because we kind of just keep sailing along. But she tells him that they told her to hand over the package, and if she didn't, she would get a free trip to see Walter. Steele asks what package she means, and she reaches into her dress and hands him a postal receipt that came in the morning's mail. Steele looks at the receipt in confusion as it was sent to their office. She asks if they got a package in the morning, and he tells her it was nothing anyone would want to get, meaning the mom. He asks if she told anyone that she had this, and she says no. He's glad, telling her that was precisely the right thing to do before she adds that she told them he had it.
Yeah, really.
Oh, poor Steele. He just got a big old target painted on his chest there. He looks up nervous, saying that wasn't the best alternative. He grabs her hand and tells her to come with him. Back at the restaurant, Clay... I wasn't sure about this.
How much has Clay had to drink?
This was my question. Did he have way too much to drink, or did somebody drug him? Because they wanted her. They take her.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, unless they were able to get to the bartender or somehow drop something in his drinks as the bartender was going by, I would have to say Clay was knocking him back.
Well, they're awfully close to that table, and he was pretty intent on nibbling Laura's fingers. It wouldn't take much to just like reach over and slip something in that drink.
Yeah, I'm going for Clay's been knocking it back.
Clay's a lush? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. He's taken the 3 martini lunch to the extreme.
Yeah. It's now become the 13 martini lunch.
Yeah.
He has, either way, whether he's had a few too many or he's been drugged, he's not all there.
No.
It's his turn, and he wants to know how much she earned at Havenhurst. Why would he even ask this question? What is the purpose of that?
He's got like 3 glasses at the table in front of him. He's doing that because he wants to...
Ego? Is it ego?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah, he wants to show his position of power over Laura. You were nothing at Havenhurst. You were just, you're the secretary. You had the title of investigator, but you really, you weren't getting paid that way.
What's funny about it is that it's probably because he's insecure about where he is now, right? Her amount is not like bad. She says 20.
Well, I think though that, the purpose of the line here in the script is to show that she was not treated with the same respect as Clay or her male counterparts at Havenhurst. But I would also like to point out that if Laura was a newbie, because we know that she was not an experienced investigator when she came on to Havenhurst, she apprenticed. If Clay had more experience or he held a higher position in the company, of course, she would get paid less. He would be getting paid more. Also, there could be, because we don't know Clay's history with the company, there could be some of that homegrown promoted from here syndrome.
Right.
I've seen that, and you probably know what it is in as much as you've probably seen people who rise up in the ranks through the company and they get promoted a few levels, and then somebody else gets hired in a comparable position from outside, and they make more than the person who's been with the company for years.
Yeah.
Because in the company's mind, well, you were hired as this, and yeah, you've worked your way up to this, but we still think of you as this, and so we're not going to pay you as much because in our minds, we've brought you up to that position. We've done you the favor. Whereas this guy coming in from over here, or this gal coming in from over here, look how much experience they've got coming into the company. We want to lure them in, so we're going to give them more money. And so, that's I think one of the reasons why so many people get into a position and then leave the company for a similar or equal position in another company is because they're not getting paid what they would have if they had been an outside hire. And so they become an outside hire with some other company.
So I adjusted it for inflation, and I got a couple of different responses. But it looks like $24,000 adjusted for inflation is roughly around $60,000 a year. That's not terrible.
Not terrible.
It's not great, but it's not like she was living in poverty. However, you're right. He did this because, and it's probably because he sees her working for, or supposedly working for, Remington Steel.
Yeah.
And there's that moment of like, oh crap, she's working for, he seems like he's working for himself and probably not doing as well at it. So he feels the need to, I don't know, maybe like make himself look better by pointing out that back
I was a football star in high school. I'm nothing now, but I was a football star in high school.
He peaked at Havenhurst. Clearly. Yeah. Because, he asked her how much she earned. She said $24,000. Clay laughs. She asked what's so funny, and he tells her he made $36 and had a company car. She almost chokes on her drink, but focuses herself. Then she says it's her turn. She asks what everyone is looking for. Clay hesitates, but she reminds him they had a deal. He makes her promise she won't tell anyone, and she does. He then tells her cookies. She looks surprised. He says it's his turn, and asks to go to his place because he's beginning to feel a little sleepy. Laura, not to be deterred, asks if he really just said cookies. He offers to break out the baby oil.
There is a fan fiction story. I don't know what it is, but there's...
No, it's not. No, it is not. I want nothing to do with that. That is none of my business. Oh, no. She thankfully doesn't say anything about that. She says worth 2 lives, even millions of dollars. Clay tells her that when Walter hit the big one, so did the formula. Now only the prototypes are left. He leans in, touching her shoulder, saying, he really is starting to feel a little sleepy. Laura says, prototypes of cookies? He nods and leans closer to kiss her, telling her rich, moist, delicious, and no calories. And then he falls forward against her shoulder. She pushes him upright and says, asking if he said no calories. He says, not one teensy weensy little calorie. Before passing out at the table. I have a question, because I Googled to see if there was anything like a no-calorie cookie or any other food item that had no calories, and there isn't.
No.
But we have things like no-calorie pop. Like Coke Zero, Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of curious as to how you can make something, because liquid has calories in it too, right? Like alcohol.
Water usually doesn't.
No, water doesn't. But like the thing that puts the calories in liquids are the additives that make it taste good, right? And the thing that they are somehow able to take out, from what I understand with pop, for example, is that they use a artificial sweetener, aspartame, what have you, that doesn't have any calories, and that's why it's a no-calorie drink. I don't know. I'm just wondering why you can't do that with a cookie. I guess because of the other ingredients, but like, are there really so few ingredients in a drink that that's the only thing that's putting the calories in there? I don't know.
Yeah. Now, I suppose with some drinks, some of the flavorings might add a small amount of calories. But yeah, I think in sodas, it's mostly the sugars or whatever sweetener they use. It's, the problem with those artificial sweeteners is that they've gotten into everything. I mean, even over-the-counter cold medicines you can't get without artificial sweeteners in them. And there are some people, like my wife, who cannot have them because
I can't have them either.
It gives her a headache.
Yep. Same.
And on some of these things, we never even knew they had artificial sweeteners into them until she said, why do I get a headache whenever I eat this or drink this? And then we look and there it is.
I get chronic migraines, and I found out through trial and error that aspartame is a trigger. I can't. Aspartame, Sweet and Low, any of those false, fake sweeteners, I can't have any of them.
Well, even
migraines.
What's it called? The one that's stevia.
Yep, I can't do that one either.
Yeah, same thing. My wife cannot do it because it's from sugar. It's derived from sugar. Yeah, but it's processed and chemically chemicalized, and it's artificial. They say it's natural, but it's really not. And
well, even natural stuff can hit people wrong too, right? Like, I think that's something that we often forget when we talk about food. When people are like, "Oh, it's natural," but people have allergies to stuff that's natural as well. So I can't do any of those artificial sweeteners. So I don't think the no-calorie cookie, I'm assuming if it existed, would be done with some sort of a similar idea in mind. I probably couldn't eat it anyway. So that kind of sucks. But as he passes out at the table, the two men stand up and they turn towards Laura, who suddenly realizes she's in trouble. We get a scene change, and then we see the Auburn driving down the street with Gloria in the passenger seat. She's surprised they're going to La Boheme, saying that she thought they were going to his office to get Walter's package. That didn't sound good. Steele says, sorry, it just came out wrong, and Laura says, Steele says, just as soon as they rescue Laura from a closet king. And just as he says this, we can see Laura being forcibly carried like a rug by the two men and shoved into the car. This didn't raise any red flags from the waitstaff?
No. Hey, whatever you're into, that's fine.
Happens all the time, sure.
That's right.
Steele sees her and says it looks like she's fallen into other clutches. So he sort of turns the Auburn around, squealing. Not a great turning radius for this car.
Yeah.
And follows Laura, who is now in the car with the men. We get a scene change. We're at Vericorp. The men lead Laura inside. They take her through the hallways, and they finally deposit her at an office. Behind the desk, Mr. Stockman apologizes to Laura for meeting her under such circumstances. Laura, unimpressed, asks him if the Vector Corporation is in the habit of abducting people or if that's Vericorp style. He leans forward and tells her that she's a very smart cookie. Was there a pun intended here? Was that intentional, you think?
I'm sure it was, yeah.
But Clay Platt is not, so he had to step in once again. Yeah, even Stockman's like, yeah, Clay's a moron. We had to get you, but like he's an idiot. So meanwhile, we see Steele walking through the same halls. He gets to the main office. Does he see, like, I didn't pay enough attention, I think, when I was taking my notes, but I didn't remember seeing the guards there at that point. But I guess there must have been guards because he turns around and goes the other way.
Well, there's the secretary at the reception desk, and there are two men in front of the door that Laura went in.
I just didn't think
it's off to the side, though, so the way it's shot, the way it's cut, you don't see the obvious connection there.
Right.
But they're still there.
Okay. So inside, Laura is trying to figure out what's going on. She points out that Walter Munsinger created the most delicious chocolate chip cookie, which has no calories, and can't believe that he wants to pay. How does she know that he wants $10 million to destroy it? That's what I'm wondering, because at no point do they indicate that Stockman wants to destroy it, just that he wants it.
Yeah, that's a bit of a leap, but there may have been something, again, that was removed from the script that we're not seeing.
Because she could have said, like, she could have said something like, I can understand why you'd want to pay $10 million to sell this cookie. And he could sell it. I want to destroy it, and go into his rant.
Yeah, I'm thinking that there was something in their conversation that we didn't see between the time we cut to Steele and the time we came back.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm guessing this, and again, I'm not trying to criticize Stephanie as a scriptwriter. This is a first script, and as far as first scripts go, it's very well done. But I'm guessing that Robin had some hand in kind of like helping shape it, and maybe when it went through the rewrite stages, there was some stuff that got lost.
Yeah. I'm thinking this is just intended to be a shorthand to cover the conversation that occurred during that blank space when we were outside looking at Steele coming in. So
Stockman agrees that's a fair assessment of the situation, and Laura realizes they were the ones who bombed their office. Stockman leans forward and says, almost sympathetically, that it was a distasteful thing, but given the severity of the situation, they needed to undertake.
Yeah.
This whole bit coming up is one of my favorite moments in the entire episode, I gotta say. Laura says,
I've got
severity?
a comment.
Oh, good. She points out that he is sitting on something the entire world is crying out for. And here's the thing. As much of an issue as I have with her being all like, you're a degenerate for eating one cookie, she's not wrong that a no-calorie cookie would be great. Like, you know,
a lot of people would want it. Yes.
A lot of people would be thrilled to have a treat that they could have without worrying about their waistline. However, whether you should or you shouldn't, regardless, like it would be, especially if it's replacing sugar, diabetics, right? Like, and I don't know how this cookie is made. This cookie doesn't exist, so. But
really,
you know, you never know. Like, it could be something that could be very useful for people who can't have sugar if it's replacing sugar. But either way. Stockman tells her that Vericorp produces 52 varieties of cookies, fudgy bears in Wisconsin, gooey chewies in Nebraska, and yummy tummy treats in Kansas. He tells her that their factories support entire towns. The only question I have here, if he paid $10 million to buy the formula, could he not just make the cookies with the formula and keep the formula to themselves?
They could, but how to... There's a limited market for one brand and one flavor of cookie. I mean, not everybody likes chocolate chip cookies. And unless they could adapt the recipe to allow them to make the fudgy bears calorie-free, the gooey chewies calorie-free, the yummy treats calorie-free, then they wouldn't necessarily be able to satisfy the market.
Couldn't they just start making chocolate chip cookies? Companies introduce new products all the time. Right? Yeah. Introducing Vericor's new calorie-free chocolate chip cookie. Boom, there you go, making billions. Like, I don't get why destroy it was. I mean, I love his rant. I love it. I love how his disaster, like how that takes off. I just don't know why he didn't want the cookie for themselves.
Well, I think because I'm gonna try and tie this in, and I'll say that first of all, even though his motives are definitely wrong and definitely not altruistic as much as he wants to make it sound, not. But he isn't wrong.
No,
because
he's not wrong.
And I know what this story is really kind of based on, because for years people have accused the oil industry of having the knowledge of how to create synthetic oils and synthetic gasolines so that we don't have to use fossil fuels. We don't have to do oil wells and pump it up from the ground and that sort of thing. And there's some historical evidence to kind of support that conspiracy theory, because for the last couple of years of the war, much of Germany's military was run on artificial oils, synthetic oils. But what the issue really is that on a micro scale, if you were to introduce such a dramatic shift in an economy, such as synthetic oils or foods with no calories, it would have a disruptive effect on factory towns, because there are literally towns built up around a particular industry. And if you destroy that industry, you know, even if you say, well, but here's a substitute industry, you know, you're not going to be making oil pipelines, but you can learn how to program a computer. Well, yeah, except that it doesn't work that way. People don't just pick up and move into a brand new skill overnight. That's a very long process. And so the towns and the jobs around these factories would be basically decimated. And on a macro scale, it would totally disrupt the economy, because they've seen examples of this when, for example, American companies go into countries where it's a very depressed economy, and they go in, they start spending all this money. It totally destroys their existing economy. People say, well, it's going to help because they're making more money, but it doesn't have that effect. And so what he's saying is that yes, eventually they could probably figure out a way to revitalize a lot of those factories and bring back some of those jobs. But in the meantime, there's this time period where this huge disruption would take place, and what he describes happening would in fact potentially happen. Factories close, all the businesses that are there to support the people who work at the factories would close because there's no income, because nobody's working. So you can't go buy groceries, you can't go buy gas, you can't, all the stuff there. What he's describing is worst case scenario, but it would definitely be that sort of thing where in that time period during the transition, he's not wrong.
So, okay, I'm going to push back a tiny, tiny bit, simply because we have seen calorie-free pop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't exactly made people stop drinking regular Coke or Sprite or other things that have calories in them. So, and if it's only this one chocolate chip cookie, I think that having one cookie in a market with all this other type of variety, I don't think that consumers are just going to be like, okay, I'm never eating a cookie again that has calories. I'm only ever going to eat this one chocolate chip cookie, especially if other like Oreos or other factories are making different things. People are still going to buy those things. So I don't know that it would necessarily have that impact. I think if it was the only thing that you could buy, or if it was like, you're going up only against chocolate chip cookies, all of which have a ton of calories, and this one doesn't, then yes, you're probably going to destroy that market. But like, I did Google it. Calorie-free pop did have an impact. It does say it did significantly impact it. Diet soda sales initially boomed, but have since declined, with health-conscious consumers turning to other better.
That's that time period that he's kind of describing here. Now, I'm not going to say that he's correct in. He's taking this to an extreme.
Oh yeah, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love
they
it.
have to close down all of those factories making all those other cookies? Probably not. But there would be an effect. These other brands of theirs that they own would see for a time, as with the diets, the sugar-free sodas, they would see a decline in sales, and there would be a lot of layoffs of people that work in those factories, which would have a collateral effect on all the other businesses and economies around those factories. So yes, he's taken it to the extreme, to the psychotic, paranoid, lunatic extreme. But on a smaller scale, that would happen for a time. Yes, they would probably, as people got tired of chocolate chip cookies, and as they figured out a way to replicate this formula into other flavors of cookies, then it would come back.
Yeah, I guess my question was just, why couldn't his company produce it? Because I don't know that I could ever assume that like anybody who owns a giant conglomerate would be adverse to making money, even if it would. Like, he's painting himself out to be this noble, like, I don't want to destroy the world, I'm doing the noble thing. But like, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as with the oil industry, because if they have the means of creating synthetic oils and synthetic fuels, why wouldn't they if they can make all this money on it? Well, because there's so much they've got invested in the current economy with the product that they're making, and also then there's the cost of manufacture to consider. I'm sure a calorie-free cookie does not get manufactured for the same low cost as a regular sugar cookie.
No, but if that's the case, he doesn't really have anything to worry about, right? Because if a giant corporation like them can't do it, then smaller ones aren't going to be able to either. But
then they would be caught in a situation where they've got a demand for a cookie that they're not making much money on. And so now their company is in danger financially, because everybody wants, it's one of those things where, what's the old phrase? we lose money on every sale, but look how much we're selling. They would be kind of in that situation where they're spending so much on the manufacturing that there's very little margin left in the in the profits to keep the company going. And if somebody had that formula and a competitor had that formula and managed to figure out a way to make it more cost effective, then that would destroy his company.
So that was my other question. Could the formula be like if their competitors got their hands on the, because this whole thing seems to be hinging on the idea that if you can get your hands on the cookie, you can analyze it, right? So if maybe that's his concern. If Veracor, for example, started selling the cookie, could the competitors analyze it and take the formula for themselves?
Potentially, I guess. I would say that there's probably a lot more to it than that, because just because you know the ingredients doesn't mean you can replicate the process.
So they're all trying to spend all this money on something that might not even work out.
Yeah,
is what we're saying here.
Well, businesses do that all the time because what they don't want to do is not buy something that does work out and winds up coming back and harming their business either directly or indirectly. They would just rather spend the money to make sure that it's worthless than not spend the money and suddenly discover they should have bought it.
So Mr. Stockman is more worried about the free market than anything else, it sounds like.
Well, I've not ever believed that huge corporations are really free market.
No, they're definitely not. No, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, this seems to be more Mr. Stockman's concern, because it's less about, what would happen to the economy and mom and pop, working at the factory.
It's more about what would happen to our business.
What happens if everybody else gets the same recipe and now we actually have to compete? So
yeah.
So yeah, this concludes our economics lesson. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. Yeah, so he's asked her now his rant. This is actually really quite good, because he says their factories support entire towns, and asks her if she has any idea what would happen if Munsinger's cookie were to be unleashed on an unsuspecting world. Nobody would buy our cookies. Grocery stores, gas stations, dry cleaners, libraries, and schools would close. Libraries and schools, huh? Dry cleaners. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the factories would close. Gas stations, grocery stores, dry cleaners, they would close because nobody's working at the factory, so they've got no money to spend on these things. Libraries and schools would close because there would be no tax revenue. Because there's no tax revenue, the cities would collapse. There would be unemployment lines, welfare rolls, soup kitchens, honest men and women thrown out of work through no fault of their own, without hope, without purpose, turning to crimes, to drugs, riots in the streets.
So I'm gonna say this is where Canada and America are very different places, because the libraries and schools thing. Both of those are publicly funded, and the schools in particular are not funded through tax revenue. They're funded through, now I have issues with the funding formula for sure, but the schools get their funding from the government, and it's per student, and that's how it's funded. It's not, I know that I read somewhere that in the States it's because of like property taxes that fund the schools. Is that correct?
Well, it's a mess.
Okay, fair enough.
Supposedly it's, in various places, it's various forms of taxation, such as property taxes.
Right. Okay.
But unfortunately, often the money we're going to tax you on this thing or this activity, and we're going to use that tax money to fund this, except that the money doesn't really get over there. It winds up getting diverted to all these other things. So we have to sell bonds. So you buy these bonds to help support the school, and then, or whatever, and then we're eventually going to pay it back out of money that we're going to get from something else. We don't know yet what, but we're going to figure it out. We'll just maybe raise a tax on something else. And it's like here in Anchorage, the municipality spends all this money on flowers for the flower pots in downtown because we want the town to look pretty and presentable when tourists come. We don't have any money left for the police and fire, so we're going to have to sell bonds to fund them. It's like, no, it's the other way around. But no, that's not how it works. So I don't know who. Ultimately, the money for the schools and libraries here in the States comes from taxes in some manner. It's not necessarily the taxes that they say are going to it, but it's like, okay, well, this money was supposed to go there, but it went over there instead. So we're going to take money that was supposed to go from over there and get to this instead. So it's a confusing mess.
So and I don't know about all of Canada, but I know for Ontario, for example, schools are funded. The funding is tied to enrollment. So funding for classroom teachers, education assistants, textbooks, learning materials, supplies, technology, and everything else is allocated on a per pupil basis. So for every, say, 800 students, the province provides funding for one teacher librarian or one staff member or one this or one that. Right?
Where did the province get the money?
Well, I mean, obviously that does come from taxes, but here's the thing.
That's his point. That's his point.
But the thing is that businesses, like, I don't know that would necessarily change what schools are getting, because unless you get everybody leave a town all at once, the schools' funding formulas are roughly stable. They don't really change too much.
Well, if the province's total revenue from taxes decreased by 25%, are you telling me that they wouldn't adjust those formulas down?
Well, they wouldn't. They
have to stop spending money somewhere.
They don't adjust the funding formula, but what they would do is they would make other cuts. I'm not saying they wouldn't make other cuts, but they wouldn't.
Would those affect the schools and the libraries maybe?
Legally, they can't close schools right now. There's been a moratorium on school closures, so that cannot happen. So, it's very unlikely that we would see that for schools and libraries. But for things like gas stations and whatnot, I could see that happening. But
if the schools get so much per student, do they also get money for building maintenance and operations and administration?
That's all from the per pupil amount. Like literally, that goes to all of it. Heat, light, maintaining, repair.
Well, if a town goes bust and half of the town moves out, and the school population is decreased by half, they're going to get half the funding. Keeping the formula the same, they're going to get half the funding. The problem, and I've run into this with businesses who think that, well, we've got this huge store, but we can run it with 3 people. And cut all our budgets. No, it takes a certain amount of money. There's a baseline that you can't drop below. And you cannot operate a facility, maintain a facility, if your income drops below that baseline. It doesn't matter how few customers you have, how few students you have. It still takes so much money to maintain that facility and operate it. And so, if using Stockman's argument here, if your school lost half its student population, and your funding as a result got cut in half, you've got some serious problems.
Yeah, because you'd see programs being cut for sure. Not just programs, but there would be a whole lot. Maintenance would suffer because you can't. Maintenance is expensive. Maintenance, other than salaries, maintenance is probably one of the biggest expenses that schools have, and something's got to give. I mean, if you don't have the money, you can't. Well, I mean, they'd cut they'd cut programming before they'd cut maintenance work. But to give you an example, there was a school that I worked at a few years ago, and actually we drove by it today, that is in a tiny, tiny little village that has been, people keep saying they're going to close that school at some point, aren't they? Because it is a huge building. They have 130 students. Last time I was there, anyway. Very small staff, very small, but it shrinks. So do the amount of programs being offered. I'm not saying it's good. I have issues with the per pupil funding formula, but they're also not allowed to close them. So
I would say that if you could see the books, if they've got this huge building as you describe it, and they've only got 100 some odd students, they're running in the red, because no matter how much money they're getting per pupil, by the time they pay the salaries and everything else that they have to do just on a daily basis to teach, they've got no money left for maintenance.
Well,
even if they cut all the programs.
it'd be the board itself, not the schools individually, because the board gets a certain amount of money and then that gets disseminated to the schools. So it's the board that would be in the red. And a lot of them are right now, to be honest. But anyway, it's just, I do find it funny that schools and libraries were added into, I always find it funny when I see publicly funded things added into things that are like, because grocery stores, gas stations, dry cleaners, I mean, he's catastrophizing here and I can see.
Right. But his point is that all the money that operates these things come from people who are working, and in his case, working at his factories. And it doesn't matter whether it's public or private. When they stop having money, they stop spending money. And so all these things are affected either directly or indirectly. So.
I love his turning to crime and drugs, riots in the streets. Yeah. I, for one, am not about to let that happen. Laura looks horrified. She's kind of buying into this, right? She's just like, I think she's going with him on this little trip that he's taken her on. Steele, meanwhile, he has returned with custodian's outfit on, and he's got a vacuum, and he approaches the office secretary and the worst Spanish accent I have ever heard in my life. Buenos dias. The secretary tries to tell him that she didn't call for him. But he turns the vacuum on before she can finish and begins to just like vacuum random parts of her desk.
And like, vacuums a wig off her head.
Like right off her head. That is hilarious because she's screaming. The guards come over to see what the commotion is. He shoves the vacuum into them, basically knocks them over, gets by them, is in the office. Once he's inside, though, Laura looks over. She's kind of stunned to see him, and Stockman asks what he's doing there. Steele kind of looks a little surprised that she's not in any imminent danger, right? She's just kind of standing there.
Yeah, he's kind of a little bit dazed.
Almost like a letdown, right? Because like they're just having a conversation. Steele grabs her hand. They run out the back of the office. Stockman orders his goons to give chase. And as they leave, he expresses outrage that she's put his neck on the line for cookies. She's like, you didn't taste them. And he's like, he doesn't care. He points out that big men with bombs are trying to pulverize them. They race up the stairs. Laura says, no wonder Shirley and Bill are ready to kill for them. They're worth $10 million. Steele is shocked. They make it out of the building where Gloria is waiting in the Auburn. Steele jumps into the driver's seat. Laura climbs onto sort of the side runner of the car, telling Steele to go, and he peels out of the parking lot as the men continue to chase them. Back at the office, they find it trashed again. Mm-hmm. Steele yells for Mildred, who runs up behind them. She already went for lunch. So this particular one is like, she comes back annoyed at this point, declaring that next time she's eating in. Why did you... You
gotta have your mid-afternoon lunch break. I mean, you've got morning lunch, you've got lunch, and then you've got afternoon lunch.
And Mildred obviously has a multitude of lunch breaks because you're right. This is second lunch. She's like a hobbit. What kills me here is the office has been trashed twice. You'd think she'd be chaining herself to the desk at this point, like.
Or how about this? Lock the door.
Well, I don't think that would do much good because it never seems to. But
well, that's true.
At least this way they're not smashing the glass. So
that's true.
Desperately, Laura asks if she remembers the tin of chocolate chip cookies. Mildred says, "How could I forget?" Laura asks if she ate them, but Mildred assures her she would be so proud of her, telling her she gave the cookies away. Laura is horrified. She begins shaking Mildred, violently asking, how could you do that? And Steele just lifts her up. Like, hey, she keeps saying she needs to lose 5 pounds, but if he can lift her like she's nothing, I think she's fine. Because he's just holding on to her like with one arm. She's like dangling there, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
He tells Mildred that 2 people have already been brutally murdered for the cookies, and whoever has them now is marked for death. Yes, or who has them? Mildred, now looking horrified herself, says it's Miss Dalrymple. Steele lets go of Laura, and then he begins to shake her.
And that was not in the script, but I love it.
No, it's great. It's brilliant. It's hilarious. It really is. And then, we switch to the tennis club. Now, if she's marked for death and in imminent danger, why the heck did Mr. Steele change his outfit? He's in an entirely different outfit here. He's wearing jeans. He's got a dress shirt on. He's got a blazer over top. Laura's still in the red dud dress. But Steele apparently decided it was time for an outfit change, despite the fact that Miss Dalrymple could be marked for death.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all about style, eh?
Yeah, I guess. It's funny. I like the outfit. The jeans and sport coat and like we don't often see him in that. So it's nice, but like, dude, time and a place, you know? He rushes up to Miss Dalrymple and gushes over how happy he is she's safe. She doesn't have a bruise here.
A lot of makeup.
Makeup's not that good. I'm sorry, but her full face was like one giant bruise. I find it very hard to believe she could cover it up that well, but anyway. Miss Dalrymple is surprised, asking if there's another bomb. I love that. Like,
I mean, it's an understandable conclusion.
Yeah, it's fair. Definitely, it's fair. Laura asks if she still has the cookies Mildred gave her. Miss Dalrymple comments that they're very popular, adding that 2 men just offered her $100. Talk about lowballing her.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean,
right?
If she doesn't know, just make it a...
Cookies are going for $10 million. She's only getting $100.
Yeah.
Gloria asks if she gave it to them, and Miss Dalrymple says she gave them to her coach, and that they could deal with them. So Steele asks where he is. She tells him in the locker room. So all of them go so that now we've got Mr. Steele, Laura, Mildred, Gloria, and Miss Dalrymple, all following in a line. So we're adding to the entourage every time they encounter somebody new. And they find the men beating up the coach. Steele pulls one of the men off, Laura and the others start attacking him as he punches the other man. Eventually, he throws them both out, and they ask if the coach is okay. The coach tells him he was about to take a shower when they came in and started battering him around. Laura mentions the cookies, and the coach is baffled that they were after a stupid tin of cookies. Steele asks where the stupid tin of cookies are, and the coach says, he gave them to Tyrone. Okay, who's Tyrone? The coach says his son. Not good.
No.
They ask where his son is, and he says he's at school. I was supposed to look something up before we did this episode, and then I forgot what it was I was supposed to look up. So I'm doing that right now because I had some serious questions about this school and the layout of the school and pretty much everything to do with the school because I don't understand. Like, it looks like a motel. It doesn't look like a school. It's completely outside except the classrooms, which you can access. Like, I don't know a single school that would allow you. Like, that seems dangerous to me. So I'm looking it up. Okay, it is a real school. That was what I wanted to know because I've never seen anything like this. And from what I've seen of schools, they're very, like, protective of who's allowed to walk into the building, right?
Well, yeah, nowadays they definitely are. In terms of the physical layout, I was going to say that this is very much like Portland Community College, Beaverton campus, where is it Beaverton? I don't remember what it's called exactly. But there's a Portland Community College has a couple of different locations, but there's one campus out on the west side of the Portland area that this school looked very much like. It was like this. They had exterior access to the classes. They had multiple levels with open railings similar to this. So it certainly is not anything I'm familiar with in terms of like a high school, but in terms of a college, yeah.
It's a high school, and I just looked it up, and it's really interesting when I'm reading about it here, because, again, this was something I meant to Google because I was like, I've never seen this before. This is crazy. It is called Palisades Charter High School. It's temporarily closed at the moment, but it's colloquial, and I'm looking at Wikipedia here, known as Pali or Pali High, and abbreviated as PCHS, Independent Charter Secondary School in LA. Serves the neighborhood of Pacific Palisades, so this is like big money here. Palisades, Highlands, Kenter Canyon, and portions of Brentwood. Residents, in Topanga, an unincorporated section of LA, may attend Palisades or William Howard Taft Charter High School. Serves grades 9 through 12, blah, 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 blah. In 2005, it was recognized as a California Distinguished School. In 2015, it was named one of America's best high schools by Newsweek and U.S. News and World Report. And apparently it was damaged in 2025. Parts of it were damaged by the wildfires, so that's probably why it's temporarily closed. But yeah, it was founded in 1961, built for $6 million on a filled-in canyon, and at the time, it was the most expensive high school in the LA City schools. So, yeah, like this
$6 million now, you couldn't even get the plans drawn for that.
Yeah, right. But like it just, and then several members of the class of 1965 were profiled. The school's a big deal apparently. So it's, yeah, I find that really interesting because I was watching this whole scene and it was driving me nuts because I'm like, it looks like they're at a hotel. Are they really at a school? Mm-hmm. Yes, they were. So, and it says here, there's some other interesting stuff in here. In 1989, 2020 aired an episode about the students of Palisades High School. Howard Rosenberg of the LA Times wrote that Palisades High School is characterized here as both an institution of high academic performance and high drug and alcohol use. Okay. Circa 1992, so few students were considering closing. They almost closed it. So their enrollment dropped so low that they almost closed it. And then, like, it was the focus of a false email chain letter started in 2002. The message falsely claimed that a satiric message to parents about students' truancies and homework problems was actually on the school's answering machine. The message was originally written in response to parent outrage that students who skip class more than 10 days per 90 school day semester, not counting legitimate absences, could receive a failing grade. The hoax was covered on several websites, including Snopes and breakthechain.org. So anyway, I just thought that was cool because this is a really weird campus. I've never seen anything like it. And the whole scene, I was watching it going, is this a real place? Like, how are because anyone could just walk in and that's baffling to me. Anyway. So yeah, they get to the high school. My bad. Actually, sorry. Yeah. They ask where he is. He says he's at school. And then they all take off running again. So this time we've got Steele, Laura, Mildred, Gloria, Miss Dalrymple, and now the coach. Somehow they all get into the car. Somehow, defying the laws of physics and peel out of the parking lot.
Hey, I mean, if you can get 50 people into a phone booth, you can get 7 people into a Volkswagen Rabbit.
Yeah, in this car, we hear Miss Dalrymple complaining that someone is sitting on her hand. The coach tells him that her wrist is her livelihood, and Steele then cites "It's a mad, 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 mad world" as the movie reference. He gives the actors and studios and then describes the plot as being one where a bunch of people jump in their cars and begin a mad chase after something valuable. Laura realizes what he's saying, and he confirms they're being followed, telling her one car back. He's right. Behind them, we see Bill. Laura tells him to check out the red convertible, as well with Shirley behind the wheel. Miss Dalrymple, confused, asks who these people are, and Steele looks back once more and comments that their friends from Vericore haven't forgotten them either. As the procession of cars makes its way down, you'd think it was a funeral at this point. There's so many cars. Laura wonders how they all caught on so fast. Steele pulls a bug out from under the dash and shows her, and Laura realizes that their office was likely bugged as well. Steele puts the bug to his lips and tells them that if they want to listen, they better stay away from the tin of cookies, and if one more person gets hurt, he'll come after them, or he will personally come after them. He throws the bug out of the car as Miss Dalrymple exclaims in disbelief, "They're after us for a tin of cookies?" They arrive at the school, and Laura tells them that they know what Tyrone looks like, so they need to fan out. I'm assuming that, given that I now know this is an actual high school, I'm assuming that there has to be some sort of security to even prevent them from getting that far. Like in real life. Not. I mean, I realize this is an episode, so they're going to be able to get on the campus, but there'd have to be like a gate or something that you'd have to enter because you couldn't just have random people wandering around a school. Now
there is, I'm sure. But when I was in high school back in the 70s, yeah, we had, I mean, you were supposed to check in at the office if you were visiting, but doors were open. You could go in.
I mean, the doors are open in our schools too, but like if somebody, like I know, for example, our particular school, our admin basically tells us if you see somebody that doesn't belong there, let us know because they're not supposed to be on the premises. And that was the case back in the 90s. I remember.
Well, again, you know, you're supposed to check in. If somebody sees somebody that they don't recognize, then yeah, you're supposed to say something to somebody. But the actual physical access to the buildings back in this time, it was not, there was nothing to prevent you from getting into the building if you wanted to.
Fair enough. It just seems so
It was
wrong
the
to me.
it was the honor code type thing.
So they arrive. I guess this maybe just goes hand in hand with my annoyance whenever I watch a movie and like somebody just walks into a school and then they walks into a teacher's classroom and I'm like, how did you get in there? Like we were watching a movie called Hardball the other day with Keanu Reeves in it. It's one of those inspirational sports stories where he coaches a baseball team of like kids from like underserved areas of the city and blah, blah, blah. But there's a scene where he goes to visit the teacher of the kids and he's just, he walks into her classroom and I'm like, how did you get in there, sir? How? Like, who let you in? You are not a member. You are not a parent. You are not a. Anyway, it just. So that they arrive at the school, they're fan out. Steele tells them don't come back empty-handed. They run onto campus, leaving the door to the rabbit wide open as the others arrive. They split up, Steele keeping with Miss Dalrymple and Laura, and they begin looking into classroom doors. I mean, once they did get spotted, they'd be kicked off for trespassing so fast. But I guess just nobody notices them. Miss Dalrymple asks Laura how she runs in those heels. And Laura asks, how do you serve an ace? Miss Dalrymple says she trained for it, to which Laura says, same here. Now, I have to think this was Stephanie. Like,
my wife doesn't buy that. She is constantly pointing out to me in various TV shows that we watch, not just Steele, of all the places where an actress is shown wearing high heels, but then when they're running, they cheat by wearing flat running shoes in those scenes. And I keep trying to tell her that no, Stephanie Zimbalist really could run in those high heels. Even if they did cheat in some scenes for safety or convenience or whatever, she really could do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But she just, nobody could run in those heels. Nobody. And I just,
No, Stephanie did, and that's I think this is a line that she put in there. I don't know for certain. I can't prove it, but I would be willing to bet money that this is one of the, like, because I know Robin Bernheim helped her on the script, but I would be willing to bet this one was 100% pure Stephanie because she's been doing this for 3 seasons now, and this is her saying, "Yep, I'm good at this. I know what I'm doing. I got this." So
and I guess part of the thing is these days, women just don't wear high heels that often, I guess.
No,
I know my wife never had. What?
They suck. They're painful. I'm with your wife on this. They're not fun.
Yeah, but they sure make the legs look a lot nicer. That's a scientific fact, by the way. That's been proven.
I'm just saying, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I say it is. So there.
Actually, have you seen the movie Mrs. Doubtfire?
I saw part of it years and years ago.
One of the scenes where Robin Williams in the whole outfit, the whole getup, is walking home after his work as a nanny, and he says in his own voice, "These heels are killing me. If I ever meet the misogynistic bastard who invented heels, I'll kill him." So he agrees with me. They suck. They look good, but they suck. That's why we don't wear them. We don't want to. So sorry. Yeah. So she looks into the window of one of the classroom doors, exclaiming, "Oh no," as she sees the tin being passed around and the students helping themselves. Oh no. Steele then looks behind him and sees there's a henchman coming up behind him, so they continue walking. He tells them they aren't alone. He offers to distract the henchman. Laura says, "Well, where should we regroup?" And he tells them someplace inconspicuous, the boys' locker room.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sorry, but there are pretty much gym classes going on at all times of the day. Okay, You're gonna tell me that you're gonna somehow get the boys' locker room when it's not occupied? And if you do get the boys' locker room when it's occupied, then you're getting arrested for something very different than what you showed up for. So maybe suggest somewhere else. Maybe, I don't know, the track or the I don't know, anywhere but the locker room. Even the bathroom would be, I guess they do kind of end up in the bathroom, but yeah, so Laura ducks into like a little divot thing And Steele and Miss Dalrymple take off. The henchman runs after them, leaving Laura to double back and enter the classroom. She grabs the tin, demands the student give it to her. He refuses to let go, and they engage in a tug-of-war, to which she eventually yells, "Food and Drug Administration, this cookie's condemned."
Which is totally nonsensical because you don't condemn food. Although the city of Portland, years ago, condemned dirt.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a historic church on a piece of property that the city wanted, and they couldn't, for obvious political reasons, just go in and condemn the building. For one reason, the building wasn't condemn worthy. It was in great shape, but they wanted that property. And so what they tried to do was literally condemn the dirt that the building was built on.
Oh, wow.
My recollection is that they did not succeed.
I was going to say that everybody probably didn't work.
Yeah, everybody recognized, no, you can't really do that. And so it was obviously a political ploy, but they literally tried to condemn the dirt. But Food and Drug Administration, you wouldn't condemn cookies. You might say, hey, they're tainted.
Or they're contaminated. They're whatever. But it's funny because they've also used this FDA excuse with the chemistry building, and I don't think the FDA is in the habit of going. No. I guess unless it's producing pharmaceuticals, because it's the food and drug.
If they're creating food products, then they might drop in to review.
I would have thought it would be like the health board though that would do food products. I don't know. Anyway, but either way, it's funny that they keep going back to this FDA, and then the teacher standing there like if she didn't call the office and warn people that there are trespassers on the property, she's not doing her job. I'm just saying. I know I'm harping on this trespassing thing, but they're taking their liberties with it and just wandering anywhere they please. So she takes off with the cookie tin. Then we see Mr. Steele and Miss Dalrymple running down a corridor. She tells him that, in a way, this is kind of fun. He tells her that she's a woman after his own heart, and then pulls her into, again, another sort of nook in the lockers as the henchman advances. Steele jumps out at the right time, hits the henchman over the head with the tennis racket, knocking him out because it's convenient for the plot. Because apparently a bottle of champagne won't knock you out, but a tennis racket will. And Miss Dalrymple tells him, nice smash, before they take off running back the way they came. We see them round a corner. I'd like to know how they find the boys' locker room so fast, but they do. Miss Dalrymple hesitates.
It makes you wonder how many times they've been there at that school if they know it so well.
And it's funny because Miss Dalrymple hesitates, going, I can't go in there. And then he's like, it's in the Call of Duty, and pulls her inside. So and then it looks just like a regular bathroom. So,
well, locker rooms some of them are going to have stalls in them for.
They definitely have stalls, but they usually also have an open area where people change. Although that to me is strange even today. Anyway, Steele looks in the stalls one by one until he finds Laura. She opens it and pulls the two of them in, opening the tin, and the Holy Grail. There's one cookie.
Yeah.
She is elated, jumping up and down. We did it! Miss Dalrymple joins in, then goes, what did we do? And then suddenly, over their head, a gun appears, held by one of Mr. Stockman's henchmen. Another appears on the other side, and gestures to the tin, which Laura reluctantly surrenders. The stall door is open, and Mr. Stockman is standing there saying, good afternoon. So, yeah, they are.
That other person was Clay, by the way.
Oh, was it Clay?
Yes.
Wow.
That's why Steele says, first closets, then commodes. Your style is appalling.
Wow, I knew Clay was there in the gym, but I missed that he was in the bathroom. He's just so generic. This is the problem. No, seriously, this is the problem. I thought he was just a generic henchman. I didn't even notice it was him. Ouch, Clay. Oof. Meanwhile, we've got Mildred and the coach still running down. I didn't know what to call these. Normally you'd say the halls, but they're outside, so I just said the outside halls.
Walkways?
Yeah, they duck into a room as Shirley Tannenbaum runs by. Gloria opens the door and they creep out. That must have been an empty classroom because Creep out as she tells Mildred the coast is clear. She spoke too soon, though, because Shirley doubles back. They have to sort of flatten themselves against the lockers. Shirley glances back, but not enough to spot them, and then continues running. Mildred turns to the coach and tells him, you learn to look twice in this racket. Danger is my middle name. I love it when Mildred does this. I love it when Mildred's like playing tough guy, see? Like that's my favorite. Yeah. That's my favorite version of Mildred. So then she tells them to come on, and they run to the end of the hall thing.
Walkway.
Yeah, I don't know what to call it. They duck behind a cart of books, which has just been left there.
Which I've seen that sort of thing happen. So yeah, that didn't seem unusual to me.
Honestly, it drives me nuts. I had a cart of books left in my room for an entire semester, and I wasn't allowed to remove it. Anyway, so then it took up space. Around the corner, they see Laura and Miss Dalrymple and Steele being escorted by I thought it was Stockman's goons, but I guess Clay is one of them. Gloria wonders what to do if they start shooting, and Mildred says, you amateurs want to know everything, don't you? Together, they push the cart of books into the henchmen. Steele and Laura take that as their chance to fight back, and eventually they have their hands on the cookie tin, and they fight to get it back from now these pile of people that are all running after the cookies. This is brilliant. I love this whole sequence. It's hilarious.
Yes, it is.
I can understand why some people think it's too zany and too out there, but I'm on board. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's in the classic vein of movies like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, or The Great Race, or Those Amazing Men in their flying machines, or Those Magnificent Men in their flying machines. It's in that same vein. Yes.
It's great. I love it. And we've seen them do different genres of film before, and this is their homage to slapstick. So In the distance, we see Bill running towards them, and he jumps onto the pile of people, grabbing the tin, and it's like a pyramid at this point, right? The crowd follows them as they give chase. Laura points out that each one of the suspects had a motive for killing Walter, but why would anyone kill Mike Spencer? And as she says this, Miss Dalrymple says, great, now you don't have any suspects, but Steele says, perhaps one. Is he suspecting Shirley at this point? Or not Shirley, Gloria?
Gloria, I guess so, yeah. They would have to be. I mean, if they've eliminated everybody else.
Because it seems like
I'm not sure how they got there.
No, well, I mean, Laura catches on via the receipt, but that's not yet. That hasn't happened yet. So
except that it's not really that she catches on because of the receipt. It's she knows to question the receipt because she's already caught on.
Right, exactly. Oh,
so
yeah, I guess so.
I don't see how.
I don't know how they
I'm
got
not
there.
sure how we got here from there, but we did. Hand wave.
Hand wave. From behind, Mildred points and yells, grab him, boss! Bill runs down the stairs and into the courtyard where he's intercepted by Shirley. She runs in the other direction, allowing Steele and the group to make up lost ground. He runs into the building and finds himself in a school gym with a marching band playing loudly and practicing their formation. He runs into the crush and trips, sending the tin flying into the mouth of the tuba.
The bell of the tuba, not the mouth, the bell.
I played the flute. Okay.
Oh, you're one of those.
Yes, I was. Shirley takes down the tuba player. Like, where are the teachers? They're tackling kids now. Literally kids. They're tackling students. In an attempt to grab the
teachers are in the lounge drinking coffee, eating chocolate bonbons, and talking about their weekends.
I don't know. Maybe they're drinking something else. Who knows? So Mildred manages to get her hands on it, but before she can do anything with it, Stockman grabs it from her, declaring there will be no bread lines in this country. What a hero. He runs through the crowd, but he is tripped by Gloria. Laura grabs the tin and makes a run for it, but she's taken down by Clay, who swings down from a rope and grabs the tin. But not before he kisses her and tells her, right where I want you, Holt. See, I just thought he had shown up here. I didn't. Well, okay. Steele jumps over Laura to chase after him. He corners him, hits him in the face, and shoves him into
a closet.
Why is there a...
Well, I think it's supposed to be a locker
box. It's like a wooden box. It's like, but I do love the back where you belong. He shoves him in there and shuts the door. And now the crowd, apparently all the students are cheering because they hated that guy too. Who knows? He's out of breath, and he's amazed that the secret to Walter's recipe is contained in this cookie. Laura asks for the post receipt, and he grabs it from his jacket. Laura looks at it and says, according to this receipt, this makes you the owner, Gloria. Gloria laughs and says she can't believe it. Laura can't either, pointing out the date means it was mailed after Walter died. Laura points out that she knew he sent the cookies, so she just needed a receipt to claim them. Gloria asks what she means, and Steele adds that if the deal with Veracor had gone through, she would have married a very wealthy man. Must have been a shock when Walter decided not to sell out. Laura adds that with Spencer alive, she had no claim on Walter's creation, so he had to be disposed of as well.
My question is, how does she even now have a claim on Walter's creation? She was not a member of the research team. Presumably, whoever was funding them would actually have the rights to it. So, even through all these things, I can't see where she had any, unless she just simply thought that she was going to.
They're not even married. They're not like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, she can't claim communal property. They're not even married yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So unless she just in her mind imagined, well, I was engaged to Walter, so anything he has becomes mine. Which isn't, that's not how it works. But unless that's what she was thinking, it didn't make any sense. But anyway.
Well, it could just be that she thought she was entitled to them. But,
yes,
unfortunately.
A lot of people think they're entitled to a lot of things that they're not.
That's true. Caught, she hits Steele in the stomach, grabs the cookie, and makes a run for it with Laura on her heels. She knocks over poor Miss Dalrymple, and Laura manages to tackle her to the ground. The tin rolls away, and the cookie falls out. Steele helps Miss Dalrymple up and says he hopes that she comes out of this unscathed. And while he's fawning over poor Miss Dalrymple, she says the only thing scathed is my dignity. Yeah. Laura has Gloria tackled to the ground, and Mildred tells her great work, asking where the cookie is that is going to change the shape of the world. They look up only to see the school mascot. I don't know any schools that have live animals as mascots.
Used to be.
I know it was a thing. I know it definitely was a thing. But I imagine the amount of money it would take to feed them and stuff like that. But yeah, the goat is there, the school mascot, and he is eating the cookie. It's gone. And then he lets out a loud bah. Laura and Mildred look as if they are going to cry. And on the school mascot train here, there's a lot of schools that you would have a hard time having a live mascot for. Say, for example, like our mascot was the Vikings. So I guess you could have a person put on a fake beard and run around, but you can't like go back in time and bring back an actual Viking. Or one of the other high schools I went to were the the Trojans.
You buy never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy a box of those.
Exactly. Precisely. Okay. Our school mascot was a wooden horse, so they were going with the whole Trojan horse scenario. But that was not what people initially assumed.
No, so. I'm sure not.
Back in the office, Steele wonders what was on Walter's mind to turn down $10 million. Me too, Walter. Me too. I like Laura's white blouse and pink slacks here. I think they look nice on her. I think she looks kind of like natural and light, breezy. Just saying. She says that Walter was an idealist, an ivory tower thinker. The only way to duplicate his formula was to analyze those cookies. She laments there probably won't be another mind like his for centuries. Steele tells her it's not the end of the world, and she bitterly replies, that's easy for you to say, you and your enviable metabolism. And I say, I just don't buy it. She's an athlete. She dances. He gets winded going up the stairs to her loft. Like, can we stop with the nonsense already?
Yeah, but...
And which is not to say that a person cannot gain weight throughout the course of their lives. They often do, and we've seen that. I think Stephanie looks fantastic. She definitely doesn't look like she did in the 80s. But that's natural. That's normal. That's not... your metabolism changes as you age. It slows down for women. That's why a lot of times when women hit, my age, they put on a little bit more weight because physically their body can't shift it as easily as it could when you're in your 20s or your 30s. Laura's young at this point, so you cannot convince me that a woman who is, and this is the character now, I'm not talking about Stephanie specifically, but who is an athlete, who is constantly active, who runs as much as she does, has to worry about her metabolism. And Hollywood. This is like how, I don't know if you ever seen the show The Gilmore Girls. I think I talked about this before, but like the two main characters in The Gilmore Girls are stick thin, skinny. And throughout the entire series, they are seen eating, and this sort of goes the opposite direction in that it becomes a running joke that they pile away food like there's no tomorrow, right? Like they order pizza and then Chinese food and then all the junk food and then they eat it all in one sitting and somehow still are hungry later on. And you're like, I'm sorry, how? Right? So like, yeah, I don't buy this.
I agree. It doesn't really fit the character, but as far as the skinny as a beanpole and eats like a pig, when I was late teens, early 20s, I probably didn't weigh more than 120 pounds. Yeah. I can tell that now, but at that time, that's about what I weighed. And when I was just out of high school, I was working at a Burger King, and my job was to go in first thing before anybody else, because of the way Burger King makes their burgers. They've got a broiler and they take parts out of it, and they soak them overnight in a tank of lye to eat all the food and grease buildup off of them. And my job was to go in there in the morning and pull these things out, clean them up, get them ready for use, and then assemble the broiler. And then I would get to my lunchtime before we were even open. And so I'd clock out for lunch and I'd fix my own lunch because there was nobody else to do it. And I would make myself the Whopper of all Whoppers. 5
Whopper.
quarter-pound patties.
Oh, my God.
5 pieces of cheese on each patty.
How's your heart?
Lettuce, tomato, the whole thing. And I would eat it. And I still only weighed about 120 pounds, even after all that. In fact, when I went into the guard, people look at me and say, one good win and you're going to get blown away. But yeah, as I aged,
yeah, you put that down to metabolism for sure.
Yeah.
So then Mildred comes in and she's singing, and Steele points out that Mildred's taking it like a trooper. Mildred tells him she met a hot guy at Weight Watchers, so it's going to be a hot time in the old town tonight. So Mildred, I think she's happy now being voluptuous.
Yes.
So she tells him that Miss Dalrymple is here to see Mr. Steele. Steele gets up from his desk as she comes in and begins his fawning all over again, telling her it's his pleasure to be undividedly hers. Yes. Behind her, Clay enters as well. Ugh. Laura, not to be outdone, smiles and goes up to Clay, taking his hands and tells him it's a pleasant surprise, hoping there are no hard feelings. He says, all in the line of duty, Laura. She begins to finger his tie and tells him that she is free for lunch.
Well, this is obviously...
Oh, it's to piss off Mr. Steele. 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Still, gross. He delicately takes the tie away and tells her it's not a social call. He looks over at Miss Dalrymple. She tells Steele that she came to him to say that she has decided to go with a more conservative agency, one that better understands...
Clay. Any agency Clay works for, or if it's his own agency. I'm sorry. That sleazeball, that gutter...
Right?
That is not...
Yeah, I agree.
Not conservative, not classy, not...
Miss Dalrymple, you can do better, okay? Have some respect for yourself. Just saying. One that better understands her need for safety and decorum. Clay offers her his arm and says, shall we? And the two leave together. Blah. You get what you pay for there, Dalrymple. You get what you pay for. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even get that.
Yeah, but true. Steele and Laura are left standing there looking foolish. Steele says, well, Laura, it's just you and me again, alone. She agrees, adding just 2 consenting adults. But neither one of them looks particularly happy about it as it goes into the freeze.
Yep.
And this is funny if it's pre-thaw. Not so funny if it's post-thaw, because you're like, oof. We don't even want to be around each other, right? But like, yeah. So that is the episode. I am glad that I sort of told myself going in that I was going to approach it from a this shouldn't be here perspective, because
it wasn't supposed to be there.
And it makes it way more fun. It's just more fun.
It's a lot more palatable, even for people who don't particularly care for this style of episode. It makes it more palatable knowing that it's supposed to be somewhere else. Yeah.
I agree. And I get it that the official air date has it here. And so that does create an issue with character development in terms of like, if you're watching it as it aired, you're going to get this to this point and go, what the hell's going on? But if you can just turn that part of your brain off and just tell yourself, it's not supposed to be here. Move it back. Then it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of like zaniness, the chasing after the cookie, the weird characters, just love it. So thumbs up to Stephanie. I think this one was a lot of fun, and I don't hate it anymore. And no, because I really did used to hate this episode, and it was mainly down to character development. So, taking that part out of the equation, and you're like, no, this is a fun watch. This is an enjoyable episode.
It's not going to make my top 5. That's for sure.
Not
that we're doing a top 5. Mind you, we're not doing a top 5.
100%
right
doing
now.
a top 5. It's happening. It's happening.
But it's still, it's still not a bad episode.
No, it's fun. It's a good, solid, fun episode. It's not. It's better than Steele's Gold. Just in terms of like, if you're talking goofy episodes that are a bit ridiculous, it's better than Steele's Gold. So, anyway, if there's no other thoughts on this one,
nope, I'm good.
On the website, www.SteeleWatching.com, we've got show notes. We've got links to Amazon US and Amazon Canada, probably for Bambi and It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Or Gandhi and It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World. We'll figure out which one it's supposed to be. It is.
2 very different films.
Yes.
But also, there's ways to support us, to make a one-time donation or become a subscriber. So if people are inclined to do this, feel free. If not, hopefully you're still listening after this episode. So,
and if you do become a monthly subscriber, we do give you the opportunity to watch us record these episodes live, with replays available if you don't get to come in live. And even for those folks who just do a one-time donation, we give them a couple of episodes access as well. Yeah. So we're not excluding them. And if you choose to do that, we're not going to exclude you either. And
we thank you for everybody that has subscribed or contributed. It's awesome.
Absolutely. We also have ways that you can follow the podcast. Click on it, and it'll take you to your favorite pod player on your mobile device or whatever. We have links to the official Steele Watching Facebook group, Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram pages for the show, and then the link to the Steele Watchers fan group.
Yay!
Yay!
And our next episode is going to be Steele Trying, and we had, I'll let you kind of tease.
Well, it's a very controversial episode in the DVDs because of what was done to it. Mm-hmm. It's a show all about crime, and what was done to it is a crime.
It's a crime against music,
Yeah, but if you stick around and listen to that episode, we might have a solution to that crime.
Mm-hmm. We might have a fix. We've solved the crime.
Yes. We will give you more details later.
We're not just podcasting about mystery, we're solving them.
That's right. We haven't found out who's the culprit, but we've managed to do other things. So yes. So
that's all we'll say for now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if that's all
I'm done.
Both got, we'll say bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Eric and Sara here. Just a quick announcement to let you know that, yes, we do appreciate everyone who listens, participates, and supports the podcast in whatever way you do. But we wanted to give an extra thank you to those who are so graciously giving to be monthly financial supporters.
We are making live streams of our recording sessions available to anyone who is a monthly financial supporter. So not only can you watch us live as we record our podcast episodes, you will be getting access to the raw, behind-the-scenes, unedited version of episodes before they get officially released.
And Sarah, does that include our mistakes and screw ups and our humiliating? Yes,
Every
it does.
single one of them.
Every single one of them. Yes. So again, this is just an extra thank you to those who are going above and beyond. But whether you choose to become a monthly financial supporter or not, we still love you. We want to say we thank you for your support, your encouragement, and your feedback.
If you want to become a monthly financial supporter, please visit our website at www.steelewatching.com to sign up.